The man flicks out a single burst of finger force. Casual, almost effortless, yet everyone present is stunned. That one offhand strike punches clean through the young mage's arm. What they don't know is that I am Seol Mude, the supreme lord of the martial world, crossed over from another realm. With my own two hands, I brought the entire martial alliance to its knees, and the only reason I came to this world is to find my wife. But Hwa Yeon, my wife, was murdered 3 years ago, and the one who killed her was none other than her own father, Tam Chunhak. When I heard the news, my rage consumed every corner of the North Sea Divine Palace. How could any father be so heartless? You, the Martial Alliance Lord, raised your hand against your own daughter. I led every member of the North Sea Divine Palace straight into the Heartland, fury for the one I loved, and the martial world of the Heartland ran red with blood. The once unstoppable Tam Chunhak now kneels in the dirt, his inner energy spent, waiting for death. Through the wind and snow I walk toward him, slowly. Why did you kill Hwa Yeon? She was your own flesh and blood. Why? Even at death's door Tam Chunhak refuses to break. The daughter of an Alliance Lord, together with a low life like you, letting her live would have been the greatest mistake of all. A mad smile creeps across his lips. So what if you've conquered the world? You'll never have the one person you truly want. I stand silent in the storm, but my killing intent has reached its peak. The next second, a beam of light punches straight through Tam Chunhak. Whether he felt any regret for what he'd done, I'll never know. But he wasn't wrong. What does the world mean to me now? Hwa Yeon is gone, leaving behind only the love lotus she cherished most. When the love lotus bloomed, Hwa Yeon's smile was radiant. For this is a flower that only blooms when two lovers truly love each other. Tears of joy well up at the corners of her eyes. I never doubted your feelings, but I'd grown disheartened waiting for the love lotus to bloom, and now, look how brilliantly it flowers. So it was never one-sided. You truly love me too. I hold her gently in my arms. Silly girl, who else could I ever love but you? I gaze at Hwa Yeon with nothing but tenderness. Seeing you this happy, I'm grateful for this flower too. We had once filled the entire garden with love lotuses, but when Hwa Yeon left, they withered one by one, and just as I sit alone in grief, I witness something that stops me cold. The love lotus blooms again. This can't be ordinary. I call for my subordinate, Muyong, at once. I wave my hand. Find someone who can explain what just happened, no matter what it takes. Days later, scholars from across the world are gathered at the North Sea Divine Palace, and more than a few of them look uneasy about why they've been summoned. Then a voice rings out from above. All of you, come to my garden. Now, confused, they follow the voice and hurry over. But when they arrive, the sight before them is beyond belief. The entire garden is filled with blooming love lotuses, the very flowers of legend. An old man steps forward in disbelief. These flowers. Most people never see even one in a lifetime. Yet here they all bloom together, glows from their stems. These are without a doubt the legendary love lotuses. I step up quietly behind them. I am the master of this garden. Do you like these flowers? They flinch at the sight of me. Why is Seol Mude, ruler of the Heartland, standing right here? I pay no mind to their nerves and begin to speak. My beloved and I made these flowers bloom with our love. When she passed, they all withered. But just a few days ago, they all came back to life. The scholars exchange stunned glances. They fall into deep thought. This is a truly strange phenomenon. If there is any explanation at all, there is only one possibility. My patience snaps. Then tell me, what possibility? The old man hurries to explain. It can only mean that the original soul has been reborn in a new body. Your beloved has reincarnated somewhere in this world. I'm taken aback. Is that truly possible? But then again, what else could make the love lotus bloom again? A flicker of joy crosses my face. For the first time, I see a chance to be reunited with Hwa Yeon. Ever since I unified the Heartland and fulfilled the North Sea Divine Palace's long-held ambition, all that remained was an endless emptiness. Time has done nothing to dull my longing for Hwa Yeon, the girl who once waited for me with such hope. My love for her has only grown. What I need now is to know how to find her. The old man tells me, it is said that when two lovers are near each other, the love lotus they nurtured together will begin to glow. I think back carefully. The love lotus Hwa Yeon brought did glow back then. I just never gave it much thought. So that was the secret it held all along. Since carrying a living flower is impractical, the old man suggests crafting the love lotus into a piece of jewelry to wear at all times. I turn to leave. This task is yours now. I set out in 10 days. Have everything ready before then, and you will all be rewarded. 100 gold taels each. As the sun sets, I look up at the sky. Hwa Yeon, wherever you are, I will find you. No matter what. Somewhere out at sea, a massive sailing ship cuts swiftly through the waves. This is the 3rd year of my search for Hwa Yeon. Every place on the map, I've been to all of them. Still, not a single trace of her. In that time, my cultivation has broken through from the form-shaping realm to the profound mystery realm. I close my hand around the pendant at my neck, and my thoughts begin to drift. It was a peace negotiation that sent Hwa Yeon to her death. She chose to take the risk herself, all to mend the rift between me and her father. She believed her father would never harm her, and so I made the worst worst decision of my life. I let her go. Before she left for the negotiation, Hwa Yeon gave me a keepsake that had belonged to her mother. This necklace holds a special power, she said. If you ever lose me, it will guide you back to my side. With that innocent smile of hers, she looked up at me. This way, we'll never truly be apart. Regret floods through me. I should have stopped her, at any cost. Just then, the calm sea heaves. A massive wave surges up. A storm is coming. I push open the cabin door and step out. Sheets of rain and towering waves slam into the ship, far more violent than anything I'd anticipated. The ship shudders and lurches, and passengers are swept overboard one by one. Acting fast, I use my psychic force to take control of loose planks of wood. The planks shoot through the water to those who've fallen overboard, giving them something to hold on to. But then a truly monstrous wave comes crashing in. At the sight of it, even the seasoned crew feel a deep despair. Even I break into a cold sweat. Looks like I have no choice. I begin to gather my energy. I'll freeze every last one of these waves. The next moment, the crew feels the air temperature plummet. In an instant, my energy surges to its peak. But at that very moment, the pendant around my neck begins to faintly glow. A massive vortex of light bursts open in the sky. Its terrifying pull drags even the towering waves right into it. Standing beneath it, I feel the full force of that pull, and it takes me too. In the blink of an eye, the vortex vanishes, and the raging storm is gone with it. The people on deck stare at each other in bewilderment. What just happened? None of them notice that I am no longer among them. In the heart of that storm, just as I unleashed a strike that could have frozen the entire sea, I was pulled through to another world. The moment I arrive, I find a group of people under attack from enormous flies, just oversized flies. I cut them down without a second thought. This strange new world leaves me at a loss. And these people, they look nothing like anyone from the heartland. I must be very far from home. I glance up at the swarm still churning through the sky. I gather a small amount of energy and unleash the frostpalm art. Every single fly freezes solid in an instant. Then the ice shatters, exploding across the sky in a shower of brilliant light, like fireworks. The onlookers stand with their jaws on the floor. An old man approaches and says something, but I can't understand a single word. A language barrier. That's going to be a problem. But then the old man pulls out a ring. He slides it on and strikes the most bizarre, flamboyant pose I have ever seen. And just like that, he can understand me. Did you really have to do that ridiculous pose just to put on a ring? The ring works as a translator. The man before me is Edmund, president of the Royal Merchant Guild. He bows his head in gratitude. Thank you for saving our guild, honored magic swordsman. I raise an eyebrow. Magic swordsman? Apparently in this world, a magic swordsman is someone who wields both a sword and magic. And what exactly is magic? I ask. Edmund insists that what I just did, the ice, was magic. Edmund then asks where I'm from. The question makes my head spin. How do I even begin to explain that? Old man, you ask too many questions. My expression sends Edmund into a nervous shiver. Is this guy out of his mind? Night falls, and my mood slowly settles. I'm currently in a forest on the road to Balhan, the capital of the Kingdom of Drake. Edmund gives me a language ring and explains how to use it. Once I put it on, I'm genuinely surprised. Something like this actually exists? And just like that, I can understand every word these foreigners say. But suddenly, I feel a tremendous surge of energy pulse through my chest. It feels nothing like the energy I'm used to from the Heartland, and that has me genuinely intrigued. I need to test it, find out what this energy really is. The next moment, I rise up into the air above the forest. I channel this strange energy into the palm of my hand, then I release it all at once. The result shocks me. The energy stored in my body has doubled. But what I still don't understand is why I ended up here of all places. Could it be the necklace? Hwa Yeon once told me this necklace had the power to lead me back to whoever gave it, and I had later merged it with the love lotus. If the necklace is what brought me here, then Hwa Yeon must be here too. I don't know enough about this world yet, so for now I'll travel with the merchant convoy to the capital Balhan. When Edmund and the others ask about me, I keep it simple. I've been training in the mountains and wanted to see the world. Just then a kid bursts out from the crowd, eyes full of awe. His name is Xiao Lu. Young as he is, he knows a surprising amount about this world. This world has a strange shape, and its written language is nothing like the Heartlands. And on top of that, this world is home to races like elves and dwarves. There are even beastmen. And among all these races, the most powerful are creatures called dragons, essentially massive winged lizards. And the most outrageous thing of all, there's a teleportation magic, usable only by 5th circle mages and above. It can send someone anywhere they want to go in an instant, with the range depending on the mage's power. What a completely absurd world, I think to myself. I look up, and there are 3 moons hanging in the sky. I have to admit, this place is nothing like the Heartland. Hwa Yeon, did you really call me here? Just then a commotion breaks out from the convoy. It's Savina. She has grabbed her sister Annie and is holding a blade to her. 2 men nearby try to talk her down. Once we reach the capital, we'll find a way to cure you both. There are top-class mages there. Savina's eyes are wild. Assassin worm eggs, hatching inside our hearts. How could anyone cure something like that? When they hatch, we'll become something neither human nor monster. Better to die now while we're still ourselves. I step in. Wait, I think I understand what's happening to you, and I believe I can help. Please put the dagger away. Savina stares at me, stunned. You can actually treat this? Edmund rushes over, wide-eyed. Magic Swordsman, don't tell me you know healing magic too? Edmund is getting on my nerves. I don't know healing magic, but I know certain techniques passed down through my lineage. Now step back. I need to begin. I look at Savina and Annie. There's no need to be tense. This won't take long. Close your eyes. Relax your bodies. The next second, as I channel my inner energy, their skeletal structures become faintly visible to my senses. My powerful chi moves through their meridians. Then I find them, the eggs hiding inside their hearts. Now I just need precise control. Burn the eggs without touching the heart. My inner energy circles the heart, then detonates. Both Savina and Annie let out a long, shuddering exhale. I stand and give them a calm smile. Done. All taken care of. No side effects. You two have nothing to worry about anymore. On the road not far from the capital Balhan, the merchant convoy presses forward. The travelers grumble about the miserable heat. Xiao Lu hands me a water flask. Please have some water, Magic Swordsman. I glance at the water. Warm, just like the weather. I channel a trace of inner energy, and the warm water turns ice cold in seconds. That's much better. I hand the flask back to Xiao Lu. The moment he grabs it, he feels the chill radiating through his palms. One gulp of ice-cold water, and the whole world feels a little brighter. But a moment later, he's right in front of me. Magic Swordsman, could you freeze mine too? This kid has helped me out quite a bit. A small favor like this, no problem at all. So I channel my inner energy once more. Xiao Lu clutches his now frozen flask with a beaming grin. But before long, word seems to have spread through the entire convoy. What a handful these kids are. And the worst of all, Edmund comes running over too. But after one sip of my ice water, he's full of praise. I've tasted ice water from every corner of this continent. None of it compares to this. That strikes me as strange. I just froze the water. That shouldn't change the taste at all. But Edmund explains that when mages normally create ice, they draw on the cold attribute of magical energy in the air. In that process, impurities from the magical energy seep into the ice, and that ruins the taste. But the ice you make is exceptionally pure. That's why it tastes so good. A spark lights up in Edmund's eyes. A brilliant idea. And just like that, I become the street's ice maker. Edmund appoints himself sales manager. The split, 40% for him, 60% for me. What nobody expected, the business takes off. Even the Meiji Merchant Guild, one of the 10 great guilds on the continent, comes knocking for a partnership. And the biggest surprise of all, Savina uses my ice to invent a delicious new treat, ice cream. Cold, sweet, and impossibly rich. A flavor I've never experienced in my life. One serving is absolutely not enough, so I go looking for Savina. But when I reach the doorway, I stop. Something isn't right. A group of young nobles have driven away the other customers and are demanding Savina serve only them. These people are clearly used to getting their way, drawing their swords at the slightest excuse to intimidate others. One young man in particular stands out. His eyes carry a strange, almost hypnotic power, a force that seems to reach into the soul and grip it. Seeing this, Edmund hurries out to defuse the situation. But Edmund's arrival only seems to excite the young man further. This is an insult to the nobility. You'll pay for it with your life. His expression turns wild, and in the next second he swings his sword straight at Edmund. Edmund has no way to fight back, but just then an arm appears and stops the blade cold. With a casual sweep of my hand, I deflect him cleanly. That only infuriates the young man. He channels his magical energy into the blade. Light flickers along the steel as his sword technique accelerates to its limit. But no matter how many times he swings, he can't touch me. After he slices through yet another afterimage of me, I grow tired of this endless game. I don't know where that confidence of yours comes from, but your ability is nowhere near your arrogance. I extend one finger and flick out a burst of force. It becomes a streak of light that punches clean through the young man's wrist. The pain is immediate. The sword flies from his grip. He clamps his injured wrist with his other hand, and instead of remorse, his face fills with pure, burning hatred. I walk toward him slowly. He forces himself to his feet, refusing to back down. I look at him coldly. You could have just stayed down. Why bother getting up? If you want to keep going, let's see how long you can last. My eyes go cold. Should I just end this now? Maybe it's Hwa Yeon's kindness rubbing off on me. I decide to give them a chance. But these little brats still need to learn their lesson. Let's find out. Are your bones harder, or my stick? As I close the distance, the defiance in the young man's eyes slowly gives way to fear. For arrogant trash like you, a good thrashing is the only cure. By nightfall, the young man's eyes finally clear. We're sorry, we were wrong. Please stop. We'll never do this again. Turns out words alone never work as well as a good thrashing. Meanwhile, inside the castle of the Kingdom of Drake, a secret meeting is underway. Lord Duke looks troubled. According to our informants, the Kingdom of Serbia has reclaimed the northern region of the Black Wasteland, and the Kingdom of Hassan is pushing to develop the lands beyond the Western Desert. Another Duke looks surprised. Beyond the Western Desert is overrun with monsters. It's far too dangerous for humans. Does Hassan have some kind of special advantage? Lord Duke's expression is grave. We can't confirm it yet, but we suspect Inos may have joined their their side. The moment the name Ainos is spoken, the king's face goes pale with dread. The other officials in the room break into cold sweats. Ainos is one of the 10 great sword saints of the continent, a man who has never once cared for wealth or status, but he is reportedly very close to the sister of Hassan's current king, Rake, which means the kingdom of Hassan now commands 2 sword saints. With that kind of power, territorial expansion is inevitable. The senior officials exchange uneasy glances. Perhaps it's time we expanded our own territory, and the only territory available to them is the Lazar mountain range to the north, frozen for 1,000 miles. Without the right person to lead the way, any effort there would be futile. The meeting ends with nothing resolved. The king leaves the chamber in low spirits. Lord Duke's ambitions are no secret. For the past 10 years, anyone who dared oppose him has been sent north, never to return. The king is deeply worried. He is isolated, with no one left to trust but his personal guard, Carton. Late at night, the king suddenly recalls something he heard about during the day, a new food called ice cream. Carton nods. For a king who carries the weight of the realm, this small indulgence is something he will absolutely make happen. On the other side of town, Savina leads a group of excited children straight to me. Apparently the children want me to teach them magic. I have to set them straight. I don't know magic. What I use is a martial art, the frost palm art. The kids immediately change their tune. Fine, they want to learn that instead. What a handful. But looking at those earnest, innocent eyes, they probably have people they want to protect too. Still, finding Hwa Yeon is my priority, and the North Sea Divine Palace's martial arts are never taught to outsiders. Let me think it over. Come back here tomorrow at the same time. I'll have an answer for you then. The kids seem to think I've already said yes. You'll really teach us? We'll never forget this kindness for as long as we live. I open my mouth to object, but they've already run off, cheering. The door shuts. There's nothing I can do. I push the window open and let my thoughts wander. When I was their age, I was probably just the same. What child doesn't dream of mastering extraordinary power? But just then, from deep in the forest, the faint ring of weapons clashing. The king and Carton, for their part, can hardly believe it. He only snuck out for ice cream, and somehow they've walked into an ambush. And among the ambushers is a high-level fire mage. The mage flicks a hand, and 3 fireballs materialize in the air. Carton finds himself hard-pressed to defend against them. The fireballs slam down in front of Carton and explode in a blaze of light. The king watches in panic. When the flames clear, Carton emerges from the smoke, but his arm is badly wounded, blood flowing freely. Seeing more assassins closing in, Carton rallies the remaining guards into formation. The assassins charge forward. Tonight, one of them intends to take the king's head, but the king's guards are no ordinary men. In a single instant, Carton cuts down one of the assassins. Before he can breathe, 2 more come at him with their blades. Carton parries at full speed, but the mage strikes again. Carton's face goes white, but he's already stretched too thin. Then, out of nowhere, a beam of light drops from the sky and punches clean through the mage. A figure drops from above. Looks like I caught you all in the act. The assassin leader stiffens. When did this person show up? But in the next instant, I've already teleported behind him and taken out one of his men. Sorry to drop in, but you were making quite a racket out here, and I'd like to settle this before my ice cream melts. The assassin leader's mind races. Anyone who can appear behind me like that is no ordinary opponent. But that was a sneak attack, and we still have the numbers. He barks an order. Kill the king and get out, before this gets any worse. As he speaks, he launches a slash at me. I'll handle this one myself. Without him even noticing, a great sword has appeared in my hand to meet the blow. I can't help but feel a spark of excitement. I didn't expect to find swordsmen of your caliber here. Then let me return the favor with the swift spirit sword of the North Sea Divine Palace. The assassin leader comes at me again. Seems like you have a death wish. I glance down at the swift spirit sword in my hand. What an exhilarating fight. Give me everything you've got. The next second, the swift spirit sword meets his strike and turns it aside. Rage blazes in the assassin's eyes as he thrusts again. I shift my weight slightly to one side, and his fierce thrust cuts through nothing but air. In the next moment, his blade shifts, and he draws a second long knife. He leaps into the air, a blade in each hand. Twin blades gleaming with cold light come slashing down toward me. I raise the swift spirit sword in a single easy arc, and his entire assault is repelled. I rotate my wrist and swing a second time. Sword shadows blur and cross, and by the time my third strike lands, he has left this world for good. Somewhere along the way, a light rain has started to fall. The king and Carton stare in absolute disbelief. The remaining masked assassins are unreadable, but one of them murmurs under his breath, "Is this man one of the legendary sword saints?" I, on the other hand, look genuinely annoyed. Thanks to all of you, my ice cream has definitely melted in the rain. The assassins exchange baffled looks. What on earth is ice cream? But in the next instant, they all surge forward and launch a full assault. Blade after blade, 6 assassins close in on me from all sides at once. But at that moment, body-shielding chi flares around me, and every one of those fierce blades is stopped cold, unable to advance an inch. At the same time, I raise the swift spirit sword. As my inner energy surges, a faint halo of light blooms around the blade, and a powerful wave of chi and freezing cold radiates outward from where I stand. The force of the blade's energy, laced with the full weight of my frost palm inner energy. One move, and all 6 assassins fall dead on the spot. I sheath the sword in a single smooth motion, as if nothing happened at all. Under the king and Carton's stunned gaze, I become a streak of light and vanish from the scene. The next day, Princess Hwa studies the man standing before her, and finds herself puzzled. This man who has refused the king's invitations time and again. Why did he say yes the moment she asked? Hwa's expression carries a trace of annoyance. Magic Swordsman, why have you kept refusing my father's invitations? It has happened many times now. I look at Princess Hwa. She is the exact image of Hwa Yeon, and the moment she draws near, the love lotus pendant around my neck begins to glow. I finally found her. I lift my teacup and take a calm sip. Of course, when would be a good time? Hwa blinks. Just like that, he agreed. My gaze makes her a little uneasy. Since you're the one who invited me, just let me know when. Something feels off to Hwa, but she answers anyway. Tomorrow morning at 11. Hwa rises and takes her leave. Until tomorrow then. After she leaves, my thoughts churn. She is the king's daughter, the highest ranking person in this kingdom, and she seems to have no memory of her past life. How do I get closer to her? Close enough eventually to make her my wife. My resolve hardens. I may need Edmund's help with this. When Edmund hears my plan, he nearly falls over. Have you completely lost your mind? Princess Hwa is the only child of the late Swan Queen, the sole legitimate heir to the throne. And you, a man with no title, no rank, no merit to speak of, intend to court her? Suitors for the princess must be princes of other nations, or at the very least sons of distinguished noble houses. I listen to Edmund and fall into thought. If I were to gain a title, or achieve something significant, would that give me the right to pursue her? Regardless, this is something I have to do. But Edmund stops me again. Do you even know the rules of the royal court? And so Edmund marches me to the library. You need to learn proper etiquette from these books, and tonight, I will teach you everything. Why is he so excited about this? A sleepless night later, I am dressed and ready. I can only hope my appearance doesn't put Hwa off. Inside the palace, the king greets my arrival with great warmth. But what greets me next, I did not expect at all. Isn't this supposed to be a private meeting? Why are there so many people here? Hwa looks apologetic. I'm sorry, I had no idea so many officials would be here today. Seeing her flustered, I can tell this wasn't her doing. Just then, I spot a familiar face. The young man I gave a good thrashing to before. Turns out he's Lord Duck's son. Of course. What is this idiot doing here? The young man spots me too. The memory of last time flashes across his face, and he shoots to his feet in fury. That's the bastard from before! But his father grabs him. Sit down, are you trying to embarrass us in front of the king? Like a deflated balloon, the young man sinks back into his seat. The king leans over to exchange a few quiet words with Carton. Then the king clears his throat. Magic Swordsman, what made you finally accept my invitation? I explain calmly. I've been extremely busy. The Royal Merchant Guild was short-handed, and I was the most occupied of all, constantly making ice. Orders never stopped coming in. The ice we produced couldn't keep up with demand, so today was truly the earliest I could come. The king's face brightens. Your ice and ice cream have been selling like wildfire. I suppose that is a fair reason. I find myself quietly relieved. This king seems genuinely kind. Nothing like my former father-in-law, Tam Chunhak. The king continues. For saving my life, I will be granting you a title of nobility. From the moment I first saw you, one name came to mind, perfectly suited for you. Magic Swordsman, please step forward. I step forward and kneel on one knee. King Milova draws his sword. I, King Milova of the Kingdom of Drake, do hereby declare, to the brave soul who saved my life and the lives of my people, I bestow upon you the title of Duke, and grant you the name Blizzard. Your name shall endure for 10,000 generations, for as long as the Kingdom of Drake stands. Rise, Duke Blizzard. The king rests a hand gently on my shoulder. Without you, I would not be standing here today. Please allow me to express my gratitude once more. I return a calm smile. If it happened again, I would make the same choice. Just then, Lord Duck speaks up. Your Majesty, Duke Blizzard saved your life. I believe a title alone is not enough. He should also be granted a proper domain. Lord Duck's eyes betray something calculating, an ulterior motive lurking beneath the surface. The king strokes his chin in thought. A domain is not the issue. The issue is finding a suitable one. Lord Duck's tone darkens. Has your Majesty forgotten? At our recent meeting we discussed the frozen lands to the north. We need a lord to go there, and Duke Blizzard is a perfect fit. After all, his very name matches the frozen land. The northern territory is currently buried in a blizzard. Surely that is a great omen. Lord Duck's suggestion drains the color from the king's face. Beside him, Hwa tenses. The northern territory, a place nobody willingly goes. I glance at Hwa, uncertain. Are they really going to send me there as lord? Then it clicks. Lord Duke is settling a personal score, trying to get rid of me for what I did to his son. I allow myself a quiet smile. Fine, then I'll use this opportunity to make a name for myself, and close the gap between us. I am about to take on the role of lord, over the frozen wasteland of the north. Hwa watches his figure slowly walk away, and deep inside, a feeling stirs. Strange yet somehow familiar. Duke Blizzard, wait. Her eyes grow steady, as if she has made up her mind about something. A farewell kiss, love concealed between her lips. I stand completely frozen, and it takes me a long moment to come back to my senses. Watching a Hwa flee in embarrassment, I make a silent vow. I will return victorious. In the snowfields of the Northern Territory, a man and a woman stand gripping their weapons, faces taut with fear. They're being chased by a furious flying dragon. Now they're regretting it. All they wanted was a few eggs, and it turned into this. In the chaos, the girl stumbles and hits a rock. She's hurt. The man looks back, and his pupils contract in terror. The dragon's fang-filled jaws are right behind him now. Despair floods his face as he runs with everything he has. This is really the end. At the moment of despair, a figure in white appears, and sweeps a blade of chi downward. The sword energy, wrapped in freezing wind, slices clean through the dragon's body. In an instant, the dragon's body crashes to the ground right in front of the girl. Through the wind and snow, I appear. Are you two all right? The girl steadies herself. We're fine. Thank you. I keep my expression neutral. No need for thanks. I was only doing what a lord should. I turn to leave. Since you're both unharmed, until next time. Before they can reply, I vanish in a streak of white light. The girl stares, breathless. That speed, he was gone in an instant. And then they notice something that stings a little. Every single dragon egg has vanished. Inside the palace of the Northern Territory, I sit in the main hall, and I am not pleased. Today is my inauguration ceremony, and the hall is completely empty. Did no one receive word? The attendant below fidgets nervously. Apologies, my lord. I'll dispatch messengers to the villages right away. I wave him off. If they chose not to come, there's no need to send anyone. This is the Caleron clan putting me in my place, and now I have a pretty good idea of why every lord before me ended up being driven away. I flash a grin. Fine then, I have my own ways of handling this. A few days later, inside a house, several men, faces bruised and battered, are complaining to their boss. That lord moves at terrifying speed, and the moment he touches me, I can't move at all. Worst of all, he hits without mercy. There are no words for how much it hurts. Just then, a man bursts through the door. That lord is here. He's in the village square right now. Marcus turns around. He got here that fast? Then I'll go meet him myself. He pushes the door open. The greatest warrior of the Caleron clan wants to see for himself. Just who is this new lord? The village square is bustling with people. I stand among them, expression blank. Just then, a girl waves at me. It's the girl I rescued before. Marcus spots the girl in the crowd. He's her father. The girl looks at Marcus. I was attacked by a frost dragon when I went to steal its eggs. The Lord saved my life. Marcus is caught off guard. The Lord saved my daughter Lua. I was just about to teach him a lesson, but then he reconsiders. The frost dragon he killed was no ordinary beast. Even a Caleron warrior couldn't pull that off easily. This is getting complicated. As the greatest warrior of the Caleron clan, I actually have to acknowledge this guy. Marcus extends his hand. Hello, I'm Marcus, known as the strongest warrior of the Caleron clan. I don't take his hand. Hello, I'm Duke Blizzard, newly assigned to Caleron. Marcus is displeased. I've heard plenty about you, and I hear you've been beating villagers one by one lately. Is that true? I keep my expression calm. No. I simply taught a lesson to those who thought about starting a rebellion. Then my expression turns cold. Are you thinking about rebelling too? Marcus feels an invisible pressure wash over him. I make Marcus a proposal. Caleron is a brutally cold land. Since ancient times, its people have relied on strong spirits to survive the freeze. And you, the greatest warrior of the Caleron clan, your tolerance must be impressive. Care to test it against mine? But if I win, you must recognize me as your lord and obey me without question. The crowd whispers among themselves. This guy wants to outdrink Marcus? That's basically suicide. Marcus, completely confident in his drinking, accepts the challenge without hesitation and swears he'll keep his word. At the table, Marcus strips off his coat and flexes his massive build. My lord, there's still time to back out. I look at him coolly. A lord doesn't take back his words. Let's begin. After several rounds, Marcus's eyes start to look glassy. The villagers grow anxious. Marcus, are you all right? You look drunk. Lua steps forward to stop him. Dad, please, no more. But Marcus insists he can take another round. And so, under the stunned eyes of his daughter and the villagers, Marcus finally crashes to the ground, dead drunk. His two unlucky subordinates nearby can't believe it. The greatest warrior of the Caleron clan actually lost. I slowly rise to my feet as Marcus hits the ground. Everyone present, gather at my castle in 5 days. On time. I trust you'll honor that. 5 days later, I look down at the assembled Caleron clan from the Great Hall. It seems you're people of your word. Marcus stands in the crowd, staring at me coldly. Of course, a bet is a bet. I straighten my expression. Since everyone's here, I'll get straight to the point. Starting now, you have 10 days to prepare to move. The crowd is shaken. Lua speaks up. Do you mean for all of us to move into your castle? I keep my tone firm. With this many people, do you really think they'd all fit in this castle? What I mean is, We're relocating further north. Over the past 5 days I've scouted the area. There's a place up north that can hold over 10,000 people. A wave of unrest ripples through the crowd. Marcus isn't buying it either. We know the place you're talking about, but that's where the frost ogres live. I shrug it off. You mean those bald, bear-sized things that walk on 2 legs? Marcus fires back. Don't tell me you ran into them. I smile at him. You think I just ran into them? I've already taken care of every last one of them. The crowd can hardly believe what they're hearing. So, is there anything left that scares you? If not, start packing. The meeting ends and everyone files out of the castle. All this scouting has worn me out. I stretch and try to unwind. Just then, I hear a greeting from below. It's Lua and the villager Jake, the ones I rescued before. I look at them. I have a pretty good idea why they're here. Perfect timing. I was actually looking for you too. Come with me. After I killed the frost dragon last time, the eggs I took have hatched into hatchlings. Lua is annoyed. So you were the one who took those eggs? How could you do that? I glance back at her. What do you think would have happened if I hadn't saved you that day? That shuts them both up. But these hatchlings are giving me a headache. Come take these little pests off my hands. I thought I'd try raising them, but they eat an absolutely ridiculous amount. And they never stop making noise. They're driving me insane. But what Lua tells me next is a real problem. When frost dragon eggs hatch, they imprint on the first thing they see and call it their mother, which means I'm stuck raising these clingy, high-maintenance creatures. Lua thinks I don't know how lucky I am. Frost dragons are incredibly powerful in both size and strength. The chance to tame one is extraordinarily rare. Jake chimes in. If you tame one, you could fly all the way to Skulton with ease. It's over 1,000 kilometers from Caleron, the second capital of the Kingdom of Gaia. But on a frost dragon, the round trip would take just an hour or two. That stops me cold. I had no idea frost dragons were that fast. So how exactly do you tame them? A grin spreads across my face. A brilliant idea just came to mind. The journey is brutal. Wind and snow cutting in from all sides. Savina comes running toward me. Before we left for the Northern Territory, a few kids clung to me and wouldn't let go. They said if I left, they'd never be able to continue their magic training. After endless pestering, I gave in and brought them along. Savina runs up to report. Everyone looks exhausted. 3 days and 3 nights of non-stop travel is taking its toll. I look out at the group. That's not really the issue. The real problem is that some of them still don't fully trust me. I call out to everyone. We're almost there. Once you see it, I guarantee your doubts will disappear. No matter how hard it gets, trust me. Hold on just a little longer, 2 villagers mutter between themselves. We don't even know where we're going, and who knows if those frost ogres are really gone. My expression darkens. I already told you, I wiped every last one of them out. And you dare call yourselves brave Caleron warriors? I turn and press forward through the storm. Savina stares after me, startled by the force of my presence. I glance back and grin. Don't worry, everyone will understand once we get there. But Savina just stands there, eyes fixed on his back, lost in thoughts she can't quite name. After the long journey, they finally arrive. The massive cave stretching before them sends a wave of excitement through the crowd. The Caleron clan is amazed. The cave is as warm as spring. Even the spring water inside is warm. I look at the clan. From now on, this is our home, and a home needs a name. I close my eyes for a moment. My old home was the north. See, Divine Palace. Let's go with something in that spirit. I raise my hand and declare, from this day forward, this place is called White Ice Fortress. The reactions are mixed, but no one objects. Meanwhile, deep inside the cave, a flash of magic strikes one of my hatchlings. The little dragon collapses and doesn't get up. A figure mutters in the darkness. Strange. Why would a dragon be here? But suddenly a voice sounds behind him. I'm wondering the same thing. Why is there a mage here? In an instant, I appear directly in front of him. Frost chi surges from my fingertips, razor sharp and freezing. The mage has no time to react. The frost chi hits him dead on, leaving him completely unable to move. After a brief exchange, I learn that this man is none other than the previous lord of the Northern Territory, Earl Jerome. And after revealing who he is, he actually has the nerve to suggest we stand as equals. I give the slightest pulse of energy in my palm, and the color drains from his face. You couldn't even fulfill the basic duties of a lord, and you want to stand as my equal? Keep pushing and I won't hesitate to kill you. Now, heal every hatchling you just injured, then come find me. I have plenty of work for you. Jerome is puzzled. What do you mean plenty of work? I smile. You're a former lord who can use magic. Keeping you close will be very useful to me. I turn and walk away before he can say another word. After I leave, Jerome sinks to the ground. Damn, I think I just picked a fight with someone I can't afford to mess with. And just like that, the former lord becomes my personal secretary. I have him draft a letter to the king requesting a tax exemption. This frozen wasteland is barely survivable as it is, Jerome warns me. The other nobles will push back hard. To them, it's simply unfair. If the king grants it, they'll use it as leverage to threaten their own tax refusals. So no matter how much the king might favor me, he'll have no choice but to refuse. That confirms it. The real obstacle is the nobility, especially Lord Duke, the one who arranged my posting here. The king is nothing but a puppet in his hands, so the matter has to be set aside for now. Jerome lets out a long, slow breath. Then I'll move forward with another plan instead. I pull Jerome aside and whisper it to him. Jerome's eyes go wide. Can that actually work? I keep my expression serious. Given the situation, Reincarnation, it's the only move we've got. I turn to leave. Start the preparations now, exactly as I've laid out. Inside the Great Hall, the Caleron clan gathers at the call to assemble. They look puzzled. Why the sudden summons? From the platform above, I call out. Is everyone here? Marcus and Lua stand ready, fully armed. Lua looks uncertain. We've come armed as you instructed, but why have you called us here? My face lights up. Everyone. Starting now, we're going hunting for frost dragons. The target, their eggs. The crowd murmurs. Even stealing eggs from a creature that powerful is no easy task. I lay out the plan. For safety, you'll move in groups of 30. Stealing the eggs without a fight is the priority. Jerome will distribute the assignments. Those who succeed will be rewarded accordingly. The team that brings back the most eggs will receive 100 gold coins. A great reward brings out brave souls. The crowd is instantly fired up. Even Marcus says he's very interested. And just like that, it's settled. The Caleron clan gears up and prepares to move out. I pull Jerome aside. Keep a close eye on every team over the next 10 days. Look for talent. I'll need to bring them together for something else. Jerome catches on immediately. My lord, you're planning to form a knight's order, aren't you? His quick grasp surprises me. He's been performing well on every task I've given him. Keeping him around was definitely the right call. Jerome notes that it's perfectly natural for a lord to have his own knight's order. The most formidable is Lord Duke's Lion Knights. So powerful they can stand toe-to-toe with the royal knights. I smile. It won't be long before I build a knight's order that surpasses them all. I finally found Hwa Yeon's reincarnation. I can't lose her again. I address the hall. Then let's move out. Everyone, now. Out on the frozen plains, the Caleron clan is in a wild chase after a frost dragon. Marcus lives up to his name as the greatest warrior of the Caleron clan, holding his own against a frost dragon with his bare strength alone. Marcus shouts, "Now! Second row, throw the net!" A massive net drops from the sky. In an instant, the frost dragon is completely wrapped. Jerome and I watch from the hilltop. All this hunting has built up their teamwork nicely. Jerome is impressed. He actually planned to steal frost dragon eggs and tame them, and once tamed, those dragons could carry hunting spoils to distant cities for trade, generating enormous profits. But the most astonishing part? He actually united the famously stubborn Caleron warriors under one banner. That never gets less surprising to think about. Among the non-Caleron members, there's one young man who stands out. Every hunt ends the same way. He's the one who delivers the killing blow. I'm genuinely impressed. Who is that? The one who just cleaved through the frost dragon with his sword? Jerome flips through his records. His name is Hwa Yeon, a commoner hero, robs from the rich to give to the poor. He was caught and thrown in prison, then escaped and wandered until he ended up here. That surprises me. He's not even from the Caleron clan, but he gets along with them remarkably well. A good kid. I give the order. Jerome, besides this one, check if there are others who've fled here. I want a full report. Jerome breaks into a cold sweat. Just like that, the workload keeps growing. Back in the Great Hall, I can barely contain my excitement. Thanks to everyone's hard work, we've collected enough dragon eggs. Now it's time to hand out the rewards. The Caleron clan erupts in cheers, but Marcus signals for quiet. My lord, we brought back the eggs as ordered, but what exactly is all this for? I grin. I know everyone's been wondering why I sent you after those eggs. As you know, frost dragons imprint on the first thing they see when they hatch. I plan to use these tamed dragons as a transportation fleet. Dragons loaded with cargo, carrying our goods to every corner of the world. There are many kinds of spoils, but the most important is leather. And the most valuable of all, frost ogre hide. The Caleron clan goes cold at those words. Frost ogres? Are you trying to get us all killed? I face the crowd. Didn't I just clear out every frost ogre in this area not long ago? My expression turns sharp. Do you really think that after wiping them out myself, I'd stand by and watch you become their prey? The crowd is moved. This time really is different. With the Lord here, nothing is out of reach. The excitement spreads across every face. My lord, we'll follow you to the end. But just as I'm about to hand out the rewards, hurried footsteps pound at the door. It's my apprentice Leo. I'm not pleased. We're in the middle of something. What's the rush? Leo is breathless. It's bad. Savina, she's dying. My chest tightens. Take me to her, now. Out on the frozen plains, Annie and Xiao Lu stand over Savina's collapsed body, helpless. Then they see the figure they've been desperately waiting for. I approach slowly. Everyone step back. Let me take a look. But after checking on Savina, it's worse than I expected. Why has she ended up like this? Tell me everything. It turns out that while scouting locations to raise the dragons, they stumbled upon a vast flower field, filled with ice crystal flowers that Savina had only ever seen in books. Savina was enchanted by them, and picked a few to take back. But on the way back, she suddenly collapsed. I gently opened Savina's hand. So this is the ice crystal flower they're talking about. Something about it feels familiar. This is one of the rarest spirit herbs from the North Sea region and the central continent. But right now, saving Savina comes first. The fruit inside the ice crystal flower is a one-of-a-kind spiritual medicine, but to consume it, one must be able to withstand the extreme cold energy it carries. Savina collapsed because the frost inner energy she learned from me isn't strong enough yet to handle it. After feeding her the fruit, I channel my inner energy to purge the cold poison from her body. The icy chill fades, and Savina finally opens her eyes. I keep my energy flowing. Now that you're awake, use this moment to reinforce the inner energy technique I taught you. Savina understands immediately. She steadies her breath and focuses inward. After a sustained cycle of inner energy, the cold within her finally crystallizes into a core. I'm genuinely relieved. Your inner energy has grown far stronger than before. The ice crystal flower works even better than I imagined. I decide I need to visit that flower field myself. It might push my own cultivation to a whole new level. Jerome delivers the list right on time. I'm ready to build my own Knight's Order. I look out at those assembled. Starting now, I'm going to forge you into my Knight's Order. It will be called the Blizzard Knights, and I'm appointing Hyatt, the standout performer, as its captain. Next, we'll build schools and a hospital, along with restaurants, taverns, and all manner of other facilities. I'll assign roles based on each person's strengths. This is a massive undertaking. I place Osborne in White Ice Fortress's security force, with Jerome as my chief administrator. Jerome tries to be modest about it. I cut him off coldly. Don't even think about refusing. He snaps to attention immediately. He'll give it everything he has. I also establish 2 guard units. One handles the outer defense of White Ice Fortress and scours all of Caleron to bring in scattered residents. I'll serve as its captain for now. The other unit is the Dragon Riders, but since there are no full-grown rideable dragons yet, they'll remain on standby. I look at Lua. You'll lead the Dragon Riders. Once the roster is finalized, the remaining dragon eggs will be handed over to the Caleron merchant fleet. That concludes today's meeting. A few days later, Jerome arrives late, muttering the whole way. Someone really needs to cut down his workload. Jerome looks at the group, embarrassed. Late again. Then he notices something odd. Why is Savina here? Wasn't she unwell not long ago? How is she up and about already? I wave Jerome over and tell him to sit down. Then I give Osborne the floor to continue his report. Shortly after the security force was established, over 20 people have already been locked up, half of them outsiders who drifted in. Marcus is fired up. Lawless criminals like that deserve to be locked away. I shoot back coldly. If we're locking people up, you'd be first in line. You're the one who drove out the former Lord Jerome. Marcus is quick to defend himself. We did that to protect Caleron from the central nobility. I look at him coldly. So your actions were a noble cause. But Captain Hyatt's make him a common thief? Marcus turns to Hyatt quickly. Sorry, that's not what I meant. Hyatt, who knows what it means to be on the run, says calmly. Things aren't always what they look like. We can talk about it another time. Just then, Savina stands up. May I say something? I nod. Go ahead. Savina looks at me. Given how much hostility the villagers have toward outsiders, why not send them to lead the charge in the upcoming Frost Ogre hunts? Savina drops a bombshell. The room goes completely silent. But I think it's a brilliant idea. I approve it. Out in the snowfields, a group is hunting frost ogres, every one of them a wanted fugitive. Hyatt gives the order. Keep your distance and attack exactly like we trained. Rennie and Gray signal they're ready. In the snow, a massive frost ogre sniffs the air, hunting for them. Suddenly, Rennie and Gray drop from above and strike from behind. The blow lands hard. The frost ogre howls in pain. In the next instant, it spins and swings its club. Rennie didn't expect the counter to come that fast. She freezes. Hyatt is there in a flash. Rennie throws herself back and barely clears the strike. Hyatt presses the attack, his twin blades slashing into the frost ogre in rapid succession. Blood sprays as the blades connect. Then all three close in at once. In a single moment, streaks of light tear through the frost ogre's body. The fight is over. Close call. But everyone's alive. They all exhale. Nothing bonds people like a brush with death. Rennie and Gray are already making plans to grab a drink tonight, but what they don't know is that somewhere in the distance, a pair of eyes is locked on them. Elsewhere on the frozen plains, another squad is on the hunt. Suddenly, a crunching sound comes from the trees ahead. The squad tenses up. They decide to send a few arrows in to test the situation. They draw their bows and loose several arrows toward the sound. Nothing responds. They relax and move in to retrieve the arrows. Then a massive shape bursts from behind the trees. Back with me. The recent hunts have been satisfying. The locals are no longer afraid of frost ogres. After a few rounds of hunting, everyone's morale is high. As long as the plan is followed, even the largest frost ogres go down cleanly. But then a report comes in. An unknown creature, not a frost ogre, has appeared and left multiple people badly injured. It's a massive creature covered head to toe in white fur. A yeti. A bad feeling settles in. A frost ogre might be similar in size, but a yeti is on a completely different level of intelligence. I give the order immediately. Jerome, halt all hunts. Jerome and the others look at me. My lord, are you going in yourself? I keep my expression steady. Yes. Get everyone assembled and follow behind me. I move across the frozen plains at full speed. As I move, I activate the mind's eye. Everything within its reach becomes clear as day. In moments, I pick up the Yeti's trail. I draw the swift spirit sword. The blade clears the sheath. A slash of freezing force screams toward the Yeti. The Yeti seems to sense the killing intent packed into that single strike. Its expression turns to pure dread. The strike flashes. Blade energy tears through the Yeti's body. But to my surprise, it dodged my killing blow. I look back. It only caught a graze on the arm. I blink directly in front of it. In the same breath, the swift spirit sword comes down wrapped in freezing sword energy, but the Yeti vanishes before the blade lands. It brings to mind something Xiao Lu once told me. Mages above the 5th ring can use spatial magic to teleport, and this fur-covered creature just pulled off that legendary high-level magic. But just because it can teleport doesn't mean I can't catch it. I begin concentrating my inner energy. A bolt of frost chi fires in the direction its presence fled, but it misses. For something that massive, it moves like a mouse. Still, I can feel its presence. Even with spatial movement, it can't have gone far. I extend my senses outward as far as they'll go. There, beneath a tree, a cave entrance. I step inside and what I find stops me cold. Inside the cave is an entire large structure. Judging by the books lining the walls, it used to be a library. Then I spot the Yeti cowering in the corner. What are you doing? If you're going to hide, at least do it properly. But the Yeti is completely terrified, desperately begging me to stay back. The Yeti can talk. That actually catches me off guard. Are you a human? The Yeti seems flustered. No, I am Condor, the great Hari warrior. Just as I'm trying to make sense of that, a voice comes from behind me. That means Yeti, my lord. Jerome found this place so quickly. That's a bit unusual. He just tells me that no one else could have left destruction like this. Jerome looks toward the bookshelves. Why would a creature of legend be living in a library? Exactly what I want to know. You said your name is Condor. Where are you from? But the Yeti seems to be tuning me out. My gaze sharpens with killing intent. Answer me. I'm not a patient man. The Yeti's eyes fill with tears, looking deeply wronged. Then it breaks. I came from Grak. I stare at it. Is Grak your village? There must be more of your kind there. The Yeti says nothing, just nods. While I question the Yeti, Jerome quietly works through the books on the shelves. I refocus. We'll come back to the rest. Why did you attack my people? My expression is cold fury. Your answer will decide whether you live. The Yeti pounds its chest frantically. I didn't kill anyone. A great Hari warrior does not take lives without cause. Jerome looks up from his books. My lord, it's telling the truth. According to the reports, everyone only suffered injuries. There were no deaths. That gives me pause. Come to think of it, I never heard of any casualties. The Yeti slumps against the wall. The humans entered our sacred ground and attacked first. I only drove them out. His words make it clear. We must have crossed into Yeti territory during our frost ogre hunts. I tell Jerome to treat Condor's wound. While Jerome tends to him, I have a question. I look at Condor with an easy smile. Tell me where your sacred ground is, and I'll make sure my people never set foot there again. Condor stirs. You mean that? I give him a cool look. Of course I do. But you seem to be treating me rather casually. A little respect would be nice. The creature clearly has no concept of what respect means. I let it go. No point making an issue out of it with someone who can barely hold a conversation. Just then Jerome reports that the treatment is done. I turn to leave. Treatment's done. Let's go. But Jerome calls after me. My lord, may I make a request? The dragon eggs we collected have finally grown into full frost dragons. This solves a pressing problem for Edmund as well. I had promised him a delivery of ice by a set date, but the sight of the enormous dragon sends everyone into a cold sweat. Savina, riding her dragon, flashes a sweet smile. Long time no see, Edmund. Your ice delivery is here. Edmund is overjoyed. I knew the magic swordsman would keep his word. He stares at the dragon in disbelief. Is that a frost dragon? A creature that could take on an entire knight's order, being used to deliver ice. Just what has the magic swordsman been doing up in the northern territory? Just then, Savina remembers something. She looks at Edmund. My master asked me to deliver this letter to someone. Edmund understands at once. The magic swordsman truly is a man of heart. Inside the palace, Princess Hwa sits with a cup of tea in her hands. Across from her sits a young man. Your Highness, thank you for accepting my invitation. This is Justin, Lord Duke's son. He takes a slow sip of wine, thinking to himself, that woman is as cold as ever, and she won't even give me a polite smile. Fine by me. It wouldn't be fun if it were too easy. Someday, I'll make her smile whether she wants to or not. Just then, a handmaid leans in and whispers to Princess Hwa. The ever-composed Hwa lights up instantly. Duke Blizzard sent a letter? She rises to her feet at once. Let's go right away. Justin is exasperated. Your Highness, wait. I came all the way here first thing in the morning just to see you. Hwa glances back. I heard you never have enough time for your sword training, so stop wasting it here. Before Justin can respond, Princess Hwa is already gone. He watches her go, fury building inside him. He slams a fist down on the table. His face twists with resentment. Duke Blizzard, someday you'll find out exactly what I'm capable of. In her chambers, Princess Hwa tears open the letter, unable to wait. To my dearest Princess Hwa, I've been wondering how you've been. You're always on my mind. Thanks to the lucky charm you gave me, I've been doing well. The Northern Territory is a more livable place than you'd expect. There are warm springs and breathtaking crystal caves. I've built a city here called White Ice Fortress. And though it is beautiful, there is one glaring flaw. That flaw is your absence. Without you, this place feels hollow no matter how wonderful it is. Enclosed is a small gift, filled with everything I cannot say. I will write again. Yours in longing, Duke Blizzard. Hwa gazes quietly at the ice crystal flower resting in her palm. It is radiant and impossibly beautiful. She holds it gently to her chest. Hwa frowns at herself. Why am I like this? Why can't I stop thinking about him? She stares at the glowing flower in her hand. Then she brings her hand down firmly on the table. A look of resolve settles over her face. I have to see him in person. Back in the Northern Territory, deep inside a cave, I'm working intensely to refine an ice crystal flower. Then the flower explodes in my hands. I let out a frustrated groan. I'm excellent at destroying things, but this kind of delicate control is beyond me. Just then a figure rushes in. Jerome looks urgent. My lord, please come to the office immediately. I've found something enormous. The library we discovered. It turns out it was left behind by ancient mages. I keep my expression flat. So what if it was? Jerome is speechless at my reaction. This is an ancient cultural treasure, the foundation of lost magic rediscovered. It could be the key to breaking through the fifth ring. But just then, I sense something subtle. I look at Jerome. There's an unusual energy coming from your waist. Jerome's face tightens. It's nothing, my lord. No value at all. Not worth reporting. But before he can finish, I extend my palm and pull the pouch right off his waist. Jerome goes into a panic. All the more reason to look now that you tried to hide it. But when I open it, the contents leave me puzzled. It's full of small stones that look like blue ice crystals. Jerome explains. These are stones that concentrate magical energy. They're called mana stones. I set the stones on the table. You were hiding these. What were you planning to do with them? It turns out Jerome is a fourth ring mage. He's been close to the fifth ring for some time, but can't break through. When he found the mana stones, he believed they might help him cross that threshold. I look at him quietly. Breaking through to a new realm is genuinely difficult. I understand how you feel, but then my expression goes flat, which is exactly why I can't allow it. Jerome grows anxious. My growth would benefit Caleron too. Please let me use them. I shut it down immediately. And what happens after that? When you need to break through again, what then? When you're ready to reach a new stage, external tools aren't the answer. What matters is understanding and effort. Growth takes time. There are no shortcuts. Jerome grows quiet and thoughtful. He's right. I reach the fourth ring through my own hard work, one step at a time. I put a hand on Jerome's shoulder. Some things can't be rushed. Climb it step by step. One day it will all come together. Jerome feels it deeply. It's true. Somewhere along the way I forgot what my grandfather taught me. But then Jerome tells me something that makes it impossible to stay calm. These stones can be used for communication. As long as he casts a communication spell on a mana stone, even someone with no magical ability can use it to communicate. And the range has no limit. It can reach anywhere in the world. This is beyond extraordinary. Jerome, do you know what matters most when it comes to ruling a kingdom? The speed of information. In my office, I give the order. Jerome, convert all the mana stones into communication stones immediately. Inside the White Ice Fortress, we run a test on the mana stones. A voice comes through the stone in my hand, loud and clear. Jake. Jake's face lights up with excitement. My current position, I'm hovering above the plains 10 kilometers from the White Ice Fortress. Jake soars through the sky on his frost dragon. My lord, I can hear you perfectly. Not a single problem. I look down at the stone in my hand. Crystal clear, not a trace of interference. The communication test is a success. Just then, I hear a sound at the door. It's Savina, riding her frost dragon back to the fortress. In the meeting room, I go over the information Savina has brought back. I turn to Savina. I asked Edmund to write up a report on the surrounding kingdoms. I didn't expect him to be this thorough, but one name in the letter stands out. Ainos. Something about it feels deeply unsettling. I ask quietly, does anyone here know who this Ainos is? Hyatt looks at me. I know of him. Word has it he's a supreme sword saint. Marcus and Jerome hear this, and their expressions instantly change. Everyone chimes in at once. In this world, a sword saint is the pinnacle of power, and a supreme sword saint stands a cut above even that. I raise my hand to quiet the room. A supreme sword saint is the equivalent of what we called the Transcendence Realm back in the Central Plains, and once a warrior reaches the Transcendence Realm, they can manifest a sword pellet. Since arriving in this world, I've heard there are barely a dozen who have reached that level. Honestly, it's disappointing, and now one has appeared. I find myself genuinely curious to meet the strongest person in this world. Hyatt rises to his feet. There's something else about this supreme sword saint. Whenever he unleashes his swordsmanship, it carries the scent of plum blossoms. That catches me off guard. Back in the Central Plains, there was a sword style known for that exact same trait, the Mount Hwa sect. The thought sends a shock straight through me. Could it be that I'm not the only one who crossed over from the Central Plains? The possibility genuinely catches me off guard. Back when I unified the Central Plains, the dying sect leader of the Mount Hwa sect gave me a warning. If my greatest disciple were here, the outcome would have been very different. He had simply vanished during a closed-door cultivation session, as if he had been erased from the world entirely. I dismissed it as the words of a dying man. But now, this destined confrontation may be unavoidable after all, and at that very moment, the kingdom's knights arrive at the Northern Territory, and leading them, none other than Lord Duke's son, Justin. I look at him with a smile. How's that arm of yours healing up? Justin grips his once injured arm, his mind flashing back to that humiliating moment. In an instant, his hand goes to his sword, ready to attack. But I pay him no mind. Your Highness, no need to keep hiding. Come on out. There's always joy in reunion after a long absence. How have you been, Duke Blizzard? I take Away to the crystal cave mentioned in the letter. Aihui's eyes go wide with delight. This place is absolutely breathtaking. I'd heard that after reading my letter, Aihui pestered her father relentlessly before finally getting permission to travel here with the knights. I look at that innocent expression on her face. You're still just as headstrong as ever. Exactly like Hwa Yeon in my past life. A wave of feeling washes over me. What a long and winding road it's been. For Hwa Yeon's sake, I cut my way through the entire martial world. After such a long journey, I finally found her again. In a different body, a different name. But that's enough. Standing before the hot spring, Aihui beams with joy. This is truly truly beautiful. In that moment, I slowly reach out my hand. The instant my fingertips brush her hair, I can no longer hold back. The next moment, I pull her into my arms. To me, you're the most beautiful thing here. Aihui's heart races. She looks up at me, her eyes soft and warm. All those years of longing pour out of me at once. I've missed you so much. Hwa Yeon. The words hang in the air. Both of us feel it immediately. Something is wrong. Aihui's expression shifts in an instant. Hwa Yeon, who is that woman? Answer me, Duke Blizzard. I'm at a complete loss for words. I'm sorry, Aihui, I just said the wrong name. Aihui's heart sinks. I thought I was the only one in your eyes, but I finally understand now. Her face crumbles as she cries out, "Is this your idea of love, Duke Blizzard? Or does it all belong to this woman named Hwa Yeon?" Looking at Aihui, drowning in her misunderstanding. For once, I have no answer. And with that, Aihui turns and walks away. She glances back, disappointment in her eyes. You don't need to explain, it's fine. I watch her go, with no way to explain myself. Even if I told her everything, she probably couldn't understand. I walk away alone into the wind and snow. My mind is heavy with thought. Perhaps time will give us the answer that words cannot. But just then, an assassin strikes from behind, fast as lightning. In the bitter cold, the necklace I always wear falls to the ground. In the darkness, Justin's expression is hard. What's the status on that man? The assassin kneels and reports, Lord Justin, the assassination was a success. A slow, wicked smile spreads across Justin's face. Outside the guest quarters of the White Ice Fortress, 2 guards stand at attention. Inside, Princess Aihui sits with tears brimming in her eyes. That fool, he could have at least tried to stop me. Just then, the guard at the door calls in, Your Highness, you have a visitor. Her mood lifts slightly at the news. But when she opens the door, expecting to see me there to apologize, what greets her turns her blood cold. Justin stands there, eyes wild, both guards already dead at his feet. He looks at Princess Aihui. My apologies for the late intrusion, Your Highness. Aihui goes pale with terror. She lunges to slam the door shut, but in an instant, Justin's blade slices clean through the door handle. He swings again in a frenzy, shredding the door to splinters. The blast sends Aihui flying back into the room. Justin flashes that twisted smile. This blade has been enchanted with magic. As Justin steps inside, Aihui screams, Lord Justin, how dare you do this? You've killed my guards and you've entered my chambers without permission. Justin tips Aihui's chin up. Those guards chose to stand in my way. They should have been prepared for the consequences. And you, Princess Aihui, you had the nerve to ignore my feelings and chase after some nobody. Justin looks insufferably pleased with himself. None of that matters now though, because that man is dead. I sent my best assassins after him. He reaches toward Aihui. The strike was a success. By now, there might not even be a body left to find. The words hit Aihui like a blow. Despair floods through her. How could Duke Blizzard be dead? But just then, a figure erupts from the darkness and drives a palm strike straight into Justin. The impact sends Justin crashing into the wall. The shockwave blows a hole clean through it. Aihui slowly raises her head and looks at the figure before her. The terror of what she just survived, and all the hurt she'd been holding inside, it all breaks loose at once. She bursts into tears. I look at her calmly. I'm sorry, I should have come sooner, but in that instant, a sharp unease rises inside me. The sword that was in Justin's hand flies through the air and launches a strike directly at me. It catches me off guard. The blade pulls back after the failed strike and takes off on its own. Chi sword control. Trailing a faint purple glow, it vanishes into the darkness. And from that darkness, a hand reaches out and catches the hilt. I shield Aihui with my arm. Is that still you, Justin? A knight steps forward from the shadows, that same sword now in hand. Justin's face splits into a wild grin. Feeling a little different from last time, Duke Blizzard? Through the haze, my figure slowly comes into view. Good. You've finally given me a reason to finish you. I catch the worry on Aihui's face. I simply signal her to step back. Aihui stares at my back. You're coming back, right? I look back at her, my voice gentle. Don't worry. Find somewhere safe and stay there. The next moment, I launch myself at Justin. I look at him. You really have changed since last time. But Justin charges at me, enchanted sword in hand. Another tedious lecture? The enchanted blade surges toward me, trailing pale violet energy. I flick it aside with a single finger. My gaze stays cold and forward. In a flash, the sword flies back to Justin's grip, and he charges at me again. This time, I let the blade hit my arm directly. The sword's energy surges and pushes me back. Without giving me a moment to breathe, Justin closes in again. This spurs him on. He's pushing him back. Good. He must be exhausted from fighting off the assassination squad. This is the perfect moment to finish him. Justin explodes with speed. Let me end this. But in that moment, a flash of cold light cuts across his face. The armor plating on Justin's chest shatters. His eyes go wide with horror. That move, the same one that pierced straight through my wrist last time. With his armor broken and his power stripped away, Justin clutches his injured wrist. I look at him coolly. I thought our fight might put Princess Hwa in danger. Looks like I was overthinking it. Justin grips his wrist, despair flooding in. You took those hits on purpose? Just to draw the fight away from the princess? A burst of cold light flares in my hand. You dared to hurt Hwa. Now face what comes with it. An invisible pressure crashes over Justin. He throws himself forward in a last desperate attack, but it's already too late. The frost chi in my hand has taken full form. Wherever the frost chi reaches, Justin's entire body locks up. The next second, a piercing cold light blazes, brilliant and blinding. I was this careful for one reason only. I cannot lose her again. The air blazes with icy brilliance. As the cold light fades, so does every last shred of Justin's arrogance. In the wind and snow, he trembles uncontrollably. Absolute terror fills Justin's eyes. Every last trump card he had, shattered. I look down at him. Stop wasting your energy. I've destroyed your Dantian. You will never gather or use magic again, not for the rest of your life. The words hit Justin like a plunge into frozen water. Driven by despair, he swings his fists, still trying to fight back. In this state, he's only humiliating himself. I raise my hand casually and send him sprawling into the snow with a single slap. Spend the rest of your life regretting what you did today. From this day forward, you'll become exactly the kind of weakling you spent your whole life trampling over. Somewhere along the way, the sun has risen. I raise my hand to shield my eyes from the light on my face. It's getting late. I need to head back. After all, Hwa is still waiting for me back in the fortress, worrying. I mobilize everyone to search for the necklace lost during the assassination attempt. As if by fate, it's Hwa who finds it. And as she places the necklace back in my hand, memories of a past life begin to stir in her dreams. The woman named Hwa Yeon. She seems to share a bond with Duke Blizzard that goes beyond explanation. In the dream, she calls him by name, with a closeness only family would know. Princess Hwa, who should feel nothing but jealousy, instead feels something she can't quite name. My sudden arrival cuts through her thoughts, but I simply turn and gesture for her to follow. Would you like to go on a trip with me, Hwa? Clear your head a little. In an instant, massive frost dragons fill the sky above. The sheer size of them sends Hwa's maidservant dropping to the ground in fright. But Hwa herself lets out a cry of pure joy at the sight. Her excitement is impossible to contain. This is the first time I've ever seen anyone command so many frost dragons at once. Just then, Jake and Jerome walk over. My lord, we're ready to depart. I look at them. Good. Did you bring what I asked for? Just then, a snowball-sized shape comes bounding in. The maidservant yelps and drops to the ground again. Jerome bows his head. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to frighten you. The little snowball is actually Condor, transformed. At my request, Jerome had Condor take on this tiny, harmless form, the creature that once struck fear into all who saw it. Now Hwa's little companion. Watching her face light up, I can't help but feel satisfied. Everything is in order. Let's move out. I settle onto the frost dragon and beckon Hwa to join me. Hwa looks up at me. The next moment, I take her hand firmly in mine. The great frost dragon sweep across the skies of the Northern Territory. Hwa's slender figure rests against me, but right now, the one thing she needs to get past is her fear of heights. I rest my hand gently on her shoulder. Look ahead, Hwa. Slowly, she opens her eyes. Her face fills with wonder. This is a view she has never seen before. The warm setting sun breaks through the clouds, painting the sky in colors that take your breath away. Atop the frost dragon, I lean close and ask softly, feeling any better? Something warm and soft stirs in Hwa's chest. A quiet smile touches her lips. This man, he's been thinking of me all along. She looks up at me. Thanks to you, I feel much better. I pull her close. Hold on tight, we're picking up speed. The frost dragon cuts through the sky. Under a canopy of stars, the two of us draw a little closer. Inside a building in the kingdom of Gaia, Lua looks up in surprise. My lord, why didn't you send word before coming? I smile. I'm just here to enjoy myself. Anything that comes up, have Jerome handle it. Right now, nothing is more important than spending this time with Hwa. I look at Hwa. This estate was prepared just for you. Do you like it? Hwa turns to look at me, and her eyes drift without meaning to the pendant around my neck. It brings back fragments of her dream. My voice pulls her back. Hwa, are you alright? Hwa looks at me. Sorry, I had a strange dream last night, full of buildings and people I've never seen before. In the dream, I was a young woman, around 20, with pale skin and dark hair and eyes. But no matter what, the me in that dream always wore a look of deep sadness. My father in the dream, he kept doing everything in his power to stop my marriage. Hwa gives a slightly awkward smile. Anyway, it was a very strange dream. Something becomes clear to me. My hand tightens around the pendant. A distant look crosses Hwa's face. And in the dream, I kept calling out to someone, desperately. I called that person, by name. Those words moved something in me that I can't hide. In all my long years, there was only ever one person who called me by that name, Hwa Yeon. Hwa notices the shift in me and grows concerned. Duke Blizzard, are you alright? I tighten my grip on the pendant. I'm sorry, I lost my composure. Night falls. Ahui and I share a quiet dinner together. Then Ahui turns to me with a request. Every time you address me, you call me Your Highness. It makes me feel like there's a wall between us. She hesitates, working through her words. If you don't mind, please, just call me Ahui from now on. A flicker of surprise crosses my eyes, and unbidden, the image of Hwa Yeon rises in my heart. Then I let a small smile through. Of course, Ahui. Understood. Time passes, and dinner draws to a close. Jerome steps in at just the right moment. Have you both finished? I've just returned from handling the affairs in Skalton. Ahui looks puzzled at the name. There's no such place in the Kingdom of Drake. I turn to her. I forgot to mention, Skalton isn't in the Kingdom of Drake. It's in the Kingdom of Gaia. Ahui's eyes go wide. The Kingdom of Gaia lies in the far northwest of the continent, a powerful kingdom ruled by a queen in every generation, known across the land as the Kingdom of Women. Its all-female knight order is renowned for being a match for any other kingdom's knights. The realization puts Ahui on edge. She hadn't expected to end up this far from home so quickly. She wonders whether her presence here might cause diplomatic trouble, but she sets it aside and gestures for Jerome to continue his report. Jerome looks pleased. Our ogre leather has been selling extremely well in the Kingdom of Gaia. Lua came to me today with an idea. She suggests we build a workshop right here to manufacture finished leather goods. I look at Jerome. The raw leather is already doing well. Is there really a reason to go further and sell finished goods? Jerome leans in. The majority of wealthy buyers in the Kingdom of Gaia are noblewomen. If we turn the leather into high-end garments and handbags, the profit would far exceed what we're making now. And Lua has connections with a well-known leather craftsman from Caleron. With your approval, we can begin production immediately. A warm feeling comes over me. Putting Lua in charge of the merchant fleet was absolutely the right call. Go ahead and start just as you've planned. Jerome bows. Understood. I'll begin preparations right away. But just then, a commotion breaks out outside. We step out and see flames roaring into the sky not far away. Jerome tenses up. That fire is dangerously close to our fleet's buildings. If it's not contained, the flames could spread to us. I turn back to Jerome. I'll go check it out. You and Ahui stay here. I leap down from the building and make for the scene at full speed. The situation at the fire is dire. The flames are so fierce that no one can get close. I arrive at the scene. This fire is worse than I expected, but then I hear footsteps behind me. Jerome and Ahui haven't stayed put. They followed me. Ahui explains. I was worried about you, so I came. Suddenly, I hear what sounds like a cry for help from inside the flames. I turn and walk toward the fire. The next moment, with Ahui's voice calling after me, I charge in without a second thought. In an instant, I crash through a window into the heart of the blaze. Thick black smoke fills the air. The fire rages all around. I gather frost chi into my palm. I press my hand to the ground. The energy erupts outward, and the frost chi within it freezes the flames across the floor in an instant. The cold energy and the roaring fire collide in a violent clash, and in moments, the inferno is gone. That's when I notice a woman lying unconscious on the floor. I check her pulse. She's lucky. Against all odds, she's still alive. I scoop her up and make for the exit, but the next second, burning debris rains down on me from above. In an instant, I release the frost chi from within. It explodes outward in every direction. The building that was consumed in flame is swallowed by frost. Outside, Jerome stares in disbelief. Is that 8th tier or 9th tier ice magic? In that same moment, a look of stunned relief crosses Ahui's face. Through the cold mist, I walk out, carrying the woman on my back. In the flickering light, a man's face is grave. Your Highness, I have seen signs of a coming revolt. The princess's eyes sharpen like a blade. Who would dare raise their hand against me? But then, the man before her eyes begins to blur. With a start, the woman opens her eyes. She sits up, disoriented. Where am I? A thin light filters in from beyond the door. She pushes the door open and stops, confused. The people standing before her, she doesn't recognize any of them. Lua steps forward with a smile. You're finally awake. Are you feeling all right? There's a natural air of pride about the woman. Where is this place? Lua tells her. This is the Caleron merchant fleet. The woman puts it together immediately. The merchant fleet that's been making a name with leather goods. But why don't any of you know me? Aren't you residents of the Kingdom of Gaia? Lua looks at her. We're the Caleron from the Kingdom of Drake. That's why we're called the Caleron merchant fleet. The woman turns to Lua. Who saved me? Lua tells her. It was our Duke Blizzard who pulled her out of the fire. The woman steps forward to face me. I'm told you're the one who saved me. You have my gratitude. My name is Schiller Mac. You may call me Schiller. The name lands like a thunderclap. Lua rounds on Jake. You absolute fool. I told you to learn more about the Kingdom of Gaia. Schiller is the second princess of the Kingdom of Gaia, and she reached the rank of Sword Saint at just 25 years old. She also serves as the commander of the kingdom's Knight Order, the most prominent figure in all of Gaia. Lua scrambles to her feet. Please forgive our discourtesy, Your Highness. Aihui's face tightens with worry. Running into a foreign princess here, if her own identity gets exposed, it could cause serious problems. Schiller looks at me. You saved my life. I intend to reward you personally. Join me at the palace after you've eaten. I can see the tension in Ahui's eyes. I turn to Schiller. Please forgive me, but I'm afraid I must decline. I need to leave soon. My refusal does not sit well with Schiller. Lua feels it too. This is bad. Turning down an invitation from Gaia royalty is a serious breach of etiquette. Lua dashes over. Our lord may be a little nervous in the presence of your highness. She pivots fast. But, if you don't mind my asking, how did your highness come to be inside that burning building? In that same moment, a face surfaces in the princess's mind. Duke Dayton, that man, he actually tried to have me killed. She lets out a dismissive scoff. Nothing more than a group of cowards trying to assassinate me, setting the building ablaze, probably to make sure there were no loose ends. Schiller turns to me once more. Regardless, you saved my life. Name what you want. But just then, Schiller's stomach lets out an unmistakable growl. I glance over without expression. Before any of that, maybe eat something first. I ignore her indignation. You haven't eaten since last night. Sit down and have a meal. Schiller is clearly annoyed, but in the end she can't resist the food. Just then, something catches her eye. A long sword, leaning against the wall. She can't help but ask, whose sword is that? I tell her, it's mine. Schiller sets down her chopsticks. So you use a sword. As the commander of the knights, I'd very much like to see your skill. Duke Blizzard, after we eat, let's have a match. I look at her flatly. I'll pass. I don't spar with people weaker than me. Schiller's temper ignites. He called me weak? He's not even taking me seriously as a sword saint? Male swordsmen have been turning down her challenges for years, because she's a woman, but she's learned exactly how to make them say yes. She stands, eyes full of contempt. Duke Blizzard, looks like you're afraid to lose. That's the last straw. I rise to my feet, sword in hand. Then let's step outside. I glance back at her. Let me show you a thing or two. In the estate grounds, Schiller stands ready, sword in hand. Jerome looks uneasy. My lord, please don't forget that's a princess you're facing. Go easy on her. Schiller is already eager to begin. Finish talking, Duke Blizzard? I've faced plenty of men like you. Every one of them fell to my blade in the end. Excitement blazes in her eyes. I'm already looking forward to seeing the look on your face. Schiller grips her sword in one hand. The next second, the blade flares with light. The brilliance cuts straight across my field of vision. A sharp crack splits the air. In an instant, Schiller is right in front of me. But I simply shift my stance and raise my blade, and redirect her ferocious thrust with ease. Schiller steadies herself. He actually blocked my thrust. He's no bluff. Her body spins with the blade, and Schiller reappears behind me. I turn and sidestep the blade energy she sends slicing toward me. Before the force of her swing can fade, Schiller turns and thrusts again. I swing my sword in a wide arc and step back smoothly with the motion. In a flash, Schiller unleashes several waves of blade energy in rapid succession. This man is deflecting every single one of my techniques, with the smallest movements possible. He's an extraordinary fighter. Moving as one with her blade, Schiller flashes in front of me again. Her sword sweeps, and the force of her blade energy drives me into the air. Giving me no time to recover, Schiller pushes after me. She flickers to my front in an instant. She pivots and winds back, and lands a powerful side kick square on my blade. This woman is terrifying. That single kick sends me flying 100 meters back. I slowly get back to my feet. Her relentless, explosive assault, it's just like fighting a master from the Central Plains who has reached the Transcendence realm. If I keep dodging, she's going to tear this whole estate apart. The next moment, I charge straight at her, and send several bursts of cold light flashing from my blade. Schiller spots an opening and swings another back kick at me. I meet it head-on with my blade. Before she can change her move, I drive a fist into her midsection. The force buckles her forward, and in that same moment my hand is already at her throat. I apply just the slightest pressure, and Schiller hits the ground. As she looks up, my sword is already at her throat. You've lost. Jerome steps in quickly. Both of you displayed outstanding swordsmanship. Let's call it here for today. But Schiller's expression darkens. Accept my challenge again, or I will lodge a formal complaint with the Kingdom of Drake. The room erupts. Your Highness, please. I look back at her. Accepting defeat is part of being a warrior. You're a princess of an entire kingdom, and you're acting like a child. Schiller struggles to her feet. What did you just say? She charges at me again. You've got some nerve. A blade appears in the air, and in an instant it hovers right before her eyes. I stand with my sword extended, and this time Schiller finally stops. The overwhelming gap in ability brings her to her knees. I couldn't even see his blade move. A cold gleam enters my eyes. Is this how your kingdom treats the person who saved your life? The only reason I held back was because you're a princess. But Schiller can't hear any of it right now. Why can't I win? Does everything I've built mean nothing? She has taken first place at every swordsmanship tournament since she was a child. Her mother always pushed her to become Gaia's sword saint, and today, the title she had staked her whole identity on was shattered without effort. Just who is this man? Just then, Hwa comes running up behind me. I look at Ahui. We head back to Caleron tomorrow. Let's take a walk through the city while we can. I take Ahui by the arm and turn to leave. Jerome, pick up a few new swords for me. The blades took damage in that fight. Schiller watches all of this in silence from behind. Then suddenly she speaks up. Is the woman traveling with Duke Blizzard his wife? Jerome glances at her. That's not something I'm at liberty to share. But she is a person of standing from a distinguished family. Schiller falls quiet in thought. So he isn't married. The next moment she issues an order. Have a carriage brought round. I'm returning to the palace. Something stirs in her mind. Since becoming a sword saint, this is the first time I've ever met someone stronger than me. She looks up at the sky. Duke Blizzard, if I had met you sooner, would things have turned out differently? She returns to the palace. Power struggles lurk around every corner. The one behind that fire may well be her sister, a woman who smiles at her while harboring other intentions. With King Milova of Drake's birthday approaching, Schiller requests permission from her sister to attend. Her sister teases her about it. Perhaps Schiller herself carries a secret she hasn't told anyone. But none of that concerns me. I'm already back inside the White Ice Fortress in Caleron. Lord Duke's influence runs deep. Even after everything Justin did, his father pulled every string available to shield him from consequences. And now he's ordered his man, Viscount Ross, to make things difficult for the Caleron merchant fleet. Meanwhile, Ahui has set off on her journey back to the palace. Before she left, I gave her a communication stone, so we could stay in touch. The kingdom of Drake is growing turbulent both inside and out. I need to consolidate my strength, and fast. The assassination squad Justin sent after me. I defeated them and had them quietly detained. Now I intend to bring them under my command. Turn their weapons against those who sent them. Their overall ability is lacking, but two of them show real potential. An assassination squad combined with the Dragon Riders. The result will be something no one sees coming, and I've made a decision to use the king's birthday banquet as my entry point into the kingdom's political arena. Knight Commander Hyatt arrives after receiving my summons. I look at the assembled assassins. You have two choices: serve under me or die by my hand. With your current ability, you're not even close to being worthy of serving me, so I've prepared a training regimen to make you stronger. Take the weapons behind me and take down every last one of those knights outside. The assassin members strap on their gear and get into position. In the forest, 3 assassin members stand tense and ready. Without warning, a training opponent bursts from somewhere in the trees. The ferocious strike is blocked, caught on a shield. The next moment, 2 large hands clamp down on the attacker's shoulders. In an instant, the training opponent is driven face down into the snow. The assassin member takes the badge from the training opponent. They let out a cheer. One down. Dinner's on tonight. From the top of a tree, I watch their training in silence. They've been running joint drills for over 3 weeks now. The rules are simple. Each person carries a badge. Lose the badge, you're dead. Lose all badges, your side is defeated. It sounds straightforward, but this format drives rapid improvement on both sides. Just then, a red light flashes through the forest. That's Jerome's tracking magic brand. Anyone who tries to run triggers the red glow, and one of the assassin members is sprinting at full speed. Suddenly a voice reaches his ear. That's the 10th time you've run, Miller. I step into view from the trunk above him. I look at him unmoved. I told you clearly, the next time you run, you're done. Miller drops into a fighting stance. I don't have time for this pointless game of yours. Just then, a figure appears behind him and takes him down. It's Beck, the assassination squad leader. My apologies, my lord. Please give him one more chance. I look down at Beck from the branch. Why is he so desperate to get out of here? Beck's expression turns grave. Miller is different from those who became assassins for money. When he was young, his entire family was killed. And according to reliable information, the man who killed his family will be attending the king's birthday banquet next month. Snow and wind swirl around the White Ice Fortress. Miller's tightly shut eyes slowly open. I look out the window in silence. The king's birthday banquet will have hundreds of mages and knights standing guard. Do you honestly think you could pull off an assassination alone? Miller looks at me. Did Commander Beck tell you about me? His fists clench. My entire life has been lived for one thing: revenge. If it means getting that, I'll throw my life away without a second thought. I turn to face him. I can tell you with certainty, you wouldn't even get close. You'd throw your life away for nothing. But I can attend that banquet as a noble. Perhaps we can make a deal. I'll help you get your revenge, and in return you give me your genuine loyalty. Miller looks uncertain. Why help me? There are plenty of assassins more capable than I am. I look at him. Beck told me, you're the only one who reached the top tier of assassination in your 20s, and I see even greater potential in what you'll become. I extend my right hand. That's why the assassination squad I'm building needs you. So, do we have a deal? Memories surge up. Hatred rises with them. The next moment, Miller drops to one knee before me. If it means getting my revenge, I'll do anything. I'm satisfied with this. We set out in a few days. Use the time to prepare. Just then, Savina pushes open the door. Her face is all smiles. The ice cream is ready. Come enjoy it while it lasts. But Miller, seeing Savina standing there, freezes completely. He presses a hand to his chest as his heart starts racing. Who is that woman? In the conference hall, I'm holding the daily briefing with my team leaders. Suddenly, Jake bursts through the door. his face is urgent. Those bastards have blocked every road. I look at him unhurried. Calm down, Jake. Explain. It turns out Viscount Ross of Tot City has been harassing the Calaron merchant caravans for some time, and now he simply had the road sealed off entirely. I look at Jake. Can't we take a detour? Or just fly over on the Frost Dragons? But Jerome tells me, the Frost Dragons have limited carry capacity. Some cargo has to go by land, and if we're heading to the capital, Tot City is the only route, with the king's birthday banquet coming up. Is he blocking the road to keep me from attending? I'm puzzled. I have no quarrel with this man. Why would he try to stop me? Jerome fills me in. Ross answers directly to Lord Duck. Justin had barely returned home before this started. This has Lord Duck written all over it. A cold smile comes to my lips. You started this. I'll have to finish it. Jerome jumps up at that. My lord, are you actually considering a territory war? A territory war is exactly what it sounds like. A war between lords. Not even the king has authority to intervene. Normally, the declaring lord must notify the king and issue a formal declaration of war to the opposing territory. The one exception, end the fight before word reaches the king, and there's nothing to be held accountable for. I turn this over in my mind. Perfect. This is exactly the opportunity I need to test everything I've been preparing. The next moment, I give the order. Hyatt, leave the minimum garrison in the territory and prepare to move out. I turn to Marcus. Alert the assassination squad to stand by. Send Miller ahead to Tot City, alone, to scout the situation. Then I look to Jake. Get the Dragon Riders ready for deployment. Jake looks worried. We only have 20 people in the Dragon Riders. Isn't that too few for a territory war? I look at Jake dead serious. Are you really the commander of the Dragon Riders? You've been training with those dragons every day. Do you still doubt what they're capable of? Jake straightens up and accepts the order. Our numbers may be small, but our dragons are anything but weak. Jerome expresses concern about charging into battle like this. Gambling with the lives of civilians in an unknown conflict. It's reckless. Viscount Ross is holding 6,000 residents who haven't been evacuated yet, essentially as hostages. If we attack, their lives could be at risk, and Tot City's forces outnumber ours by more than 10 to 1. If Lord Duke sends reinforcements on top of that, our position becomes even worse. I look at him coolly. 2 days. Strike before they can form a counterplan, and end this in 2 days. I walk past Jerome. Jerome, you're my strategist. Don't let the soldiers see you looking unsteady. The next moment, I step outside. Is everyone ready? I look out at the assembled forces of Calaron, armed and prepared. This is Calaron's declaration of war. On the other side, Bulmer reports to Viscount Ross with a respectful bow. Every last Calaron resident has been arrested, just as ordered. Ross asks coldly whether there have been any other unexpected developments. Bulmer answers, the only change is that the merchants who had been protesting at the city gates have stopped showing up. Ross sneers. Looks like those fools have finally accepted that he's never opening those gates. Calaron's frozen lands depend entirely on outside supply for food. With the supply lines cut, the territory must already be plunging into famine. And with mountains on all sides, Tot City is the only route from Calaron to the capital. Every noble is required to attend the king's birthday banquet. If Duke Blizzard fails to appear, his title as lord will be stripped from him. And when that happens, Ross can move in and swallow the entire Calaron territory for himself. He leans back on his couch, smoking leisurely, utterly convinced his plan is flawless. Daring to stand against the all-powerful Lord Duke, Duke Blizzard is signing his own death warrant. Pull this off, and wealth and glory beyond counting will be his. Without warning, a shadow swallows the room. The smug look on Ross's face freezes. The next second, a massive frost dragon crashes through the window. Ross is scared out of his wits. Frost dragons only inhabit the Lazar mountain range. What is one doing in Tot City? A figure steps out slowly from behind the dragon. A cold voice asks, is he Viscount Ross? The Viscount is equal parts shocked and furious. Who are you? I am the current Lord of Calaron, I say, my voice unhurried. Ross jolts. He recognizes me almost instantly. Duke Blizzard. I reach into my pocket and calmly take something out. I toss it casually. It moves like a shot. The force of impact shatters Ross's ear. Then it drives itself deep into the floor behind him. It's a declaration of war. I inform him of this without a trace of emotion, and I'll be back in 1 hour. Only then do the knights come rushing in, calling out for the Viscount in a panic, asking if he's all right. I'm already gone, riding the frost dragon straight up into the sky, vanishing from the castle. The knights stare up at the sky in horror. They can't believe a frost dragon just appeared here. Ross burns with humiliated rage. He swings his hand and slaps the nearest knight hard across the face. The knight reels, staring at Ross in stunned disbelief. Ross hasn't cooled down at all. He kicks the knight repeatedly, screaming that his men are all useless trash. All they do is collect their pay and do nothing. The enemy walked right up to his door and not one of them noticed. Soon, the knight stops moving. He turns to Bulmer and orders him to dress the captured Calaron residents in Tot City soldier armor. Bulmer freezes, asking again and again in disbelief to make sure he heard correctly. Ross confirms it, his eyes cold and vicious. He wants to watch Duke Blizzard's face as he cuts down his own people with his own hands. The sheer cruelty of the scheme sends a chill through everyone in the room. Ross is burning with fury. A commoner had the nerve to throw a declaration of war at him. He gives the order immediately, Every knight in Tot City is to be mobilized at once. From this moment forward, Tot City is officially at war with Calaran. He makes a public promise of generous rewards to drive his men to fight to the death. Whoever earns the greatest merit in battle will share in his wealth and supreme power. Miller, still in disguise, watches all of this. Through the communication stone, he relays every word back to me. He murmurs, "My lord, can you hear me?" I reply calmly, every single word, crystal clear. In no time at all, Ross's forces are fully assembled, but the prisoners forced into soldier armor are made to stand outside the city walls. They're trembling, their faces drained of all color. Ross grins inwardly, savoring the thought of watching Duke Blizzard slaughter his own people and fall into bottomless despair. Just then, I come riding in on my frost dragon, with the dragon riders behind me, descending on the gates of Tot City like a thunderclap. At my command, an overwhelming assault sweeps across the entire city in an instant. Those below look up in terror at the massive shapes filling the sky. Ross squints up, unable to make out what he's even looking at. Countless dark shapes come streaking toward them from across the sky. Those sharp enough to see recognize them. The dragon riders, the force that strikes fear into all who know their name. And hanging from the claws of every dragon, an enormous, crushing boulder. The moment the dragons cross into the city, they release the boulders all at once. With a deafening crash, Ross's carefully built defensive line collapses in an instant. The knights can do nothing. Just as the boulders are about to crush the prisoners, Jerome activates a defensive spell just in time, and a pale blue barrier shields the trembling captives. He issues orders to the knights immediately. Those soldiers outside the walls are innocent Calaran civilians. First squad, evacuate all captive civilians to safety immediately. The remaining knights charge full force through the gaps blown open in the city walls. Let Tot City's soldiers see with their own eyes just how terrifying Calaran's strength truly is. Led by Marcus and Hyatt, they push through without a single obstacle in their way. Ross is bewildered. How could they possibly have known the soldiers outside were actually prisoners? And when did Calaran become this powerful? The battle raging below is deafening, and it's completely one-sided. I look down at the chaos of the battlefield. Then I move, and leap straight off the back of my frost dragon. I land squarely in front of them all. The Tot City soldiers stare in terror, with no idea where I came from. But seeing I'm alone, they steel themselves and charge at me with a roar. I raise my hand, barely, and a surge of biting frost chi bursts outward, striking them all at once. Then I give a casual flick of my hand. The ice shatters in an instant, jagged shards piercing straight through them. With these soldiers dealt with, only Ross remains. Out in the forest, Ross screams at his retreating soldiers, face red with rage, forcing them forward to their deaths. When they still won't move, he kicks one of them savagely and screams that they're not worthy of being his knights. Ross is stalling for time. He already sent someone to Lord Duck to call for reinforcements. If he can hold out until they arrive, he can still turn this around. But the knight commander, who has held his tongue until now, finally snaps. He drives his fist straight into Ross. If you want to die, go do it yourself. Don't drag the rest of us down with you. And with that, the very knights who swore loyalty to Ross turn on their heels and scatter. A massive, ice-cold blue eye opens behind him. Ross freezes on the spot, face pale with terror. I speak, unhurried. Eating garbage like this, I say pointedly, tends to give you a stomachache. Ross is scared out of his mind. He drops to his knees with a thud, banging his head against the ground, wailing that he knows he was wrong. He begs desperately. He was just following orders. He had no choice. Please forgive him. Just then, Jake comes running over. They intercepted the messenger sent to Lord Duke's territory long before he got there. The lie is exposed on the spot. Ross goes white. I look at him coldly. I saw through his pathetic lie from the start. But what he did, persecuting and brutalizing the innocent people of Calaran, that is unforgivable. My palm blazes with frost chi. Today, he pays with his blood and his life. But just before the strike lands, a transparent barrier snaps up around Ross. My full force strike stopped cold. Jake stares in disbelief. My brow tightens. I fix my gaze on the direction the barrier came from. What are you doing, Jerome? This war, Calaran has already won. Jerome speaks up quickly. My lord, no matter how vile a noble may be, their life and death can only be decided by the king. If you kill Ross here, it puts the king in a very difficult position. Ross immediately chimes in, sneering that I don't know the rules, that I'm an ignorant fool with no sense of protocol. A dark figure approaches slowly from behind. Ross's heart leaps. His trump card, the one he's been waiting for, has finally arrived. The figure is Bulmer. Ross throws his head back and laughs, mocking me for being a fool, for so badly underestimating his backup plan. Under kingdom law, a territory war must be reported to the king first and opened under royal witness. I dared bypass the kingdom and launch this territory war on my own, and Ross had already sent Bulmer to report me to the crown in secret, trying to force him to surrender before the king finds out. What a hopeless fantasy. Ross looks at me with open contempt. Jerome's face drains of color, cold sweat breaking out. The road to the capital was under heavy guard. How did Bulmer break through and reach the kingdom? Everyone is certain I've lost this one, but I let out a quiet laugh. The strange sound stops Ross cold. He wonders if I finally cracked under pressure. I look at the figure before me, completely calm, and tell him to drop the disguise. Bulmer obeys immediately, and rips the skin mask from his face, revealing who he truly is. The moment the face becomes clear, Jerome cries out, "Miller!" Ross stands frozen, struck speechless. He demands furiously to know when this deception began. Miller turns to me and reports with a respectful bow, "My lord, I have completed the mission you entrusted to me. There is a hidden rule in territory war law. Against a noble who has broken the law, no royal report is required. You can go to war directly." Ross had no conscience left. He enslaved Caloron's people and sold them for profit. And under the laws of King Milova's kingdom of Drake, slave trading is an unforgivable capital offense. The words land. Frost chi surges in my palm. Ross crumbles inside. He spent half his life clawing his way to his noble title. If he loses Tot City and his rank now, Lord Duck will kill him personally. Fear devours his reason. He wants only to survive, and he turns and runs in a blind panic. I push off the ground, and Frost Chi surges after him like a shadow. Ross's feet are locked in solid ice in an instant. He cannot move. I tell him calmly to brace himself. I clench my right fist and gather every ounce of power I have, and drive it into Ross's face without mercy. The force launches him dozens of meters through the air. He crashes to the ground and goes limp, out cold. I stand at the center of the battlefield, my voice clear and steady, and announce the outcome of this war. This territory war is a complete and total victory for Caloron. A thunderous cheer erupts all around. Everything that follows goes off without a hitch, not a single obstacle or unexpected complication. Ross is stripped of everything and expelled. Within days, he vanishes without a trace. Tot City officially becomes part of Caloron. I intend to hand its administration over to Jerome, but Jerome refuses desperately. He already has more than enough on his plate. One more thing and he'll genuinely break down. I furrow my brow. I genuinely can't think of anyone suitable. Just then, Jerome has a flash of inspiration. He thinks of the perfect candidate. On his strong recommendation, Bulmer, formerly one of Ross's own retainers, takes over the administration of Tot City, but I don't fully trust him yet. So I assign 2 knights to accompany him and report his movements every day. Before long, the day of King Milova's birthday ceremony arrives. I ride my frost dragon, soaring high above the royal palace of Drake. The guard knights go pale with shock, mistaking it for an enemy attack, and scramble for the alarm bell. I call out loudly to stop them. I descend from the dragon's back and tell them, I am Duke Blizzard of Caloron. The knights recognize me as the powerful magic swordsman who once saved the king. I produce the royal invitation and present it calmly. I'm here to pay my respects and celebrate the king's birthday. The palace hall blazes with light for King Milova's 50th birthday banquet. The herald calls out in a booming voice, Duke Blizzard has arrived! I walk into the banquet hall at an unhurried pace. Every eye in the room turns to me at once. The crowd erupts in murmurs of awe. So this is the strikingly handsome man who saved the king. Rumor has it his power is beyond measure, that he can cast advanced magic above the 5th tier without effort. Schiller is the first to approach me. She asks softly how I've been, her tone carrying a deliberate warmth. I reply flatly, not bad, not good. The indifferent answer drops the atmosphere straight into awkward silence. Schiller frowns slightly, pouting just a little as she complains about my coldness. I hand her a glass of champagne without missing a beat. Ladies first, that's how it works at banquets. Schiller takes it with a faint flush on her cheeks, murmurs her thanks, and takes a delicate sip. The herald calls out again. Princess Daphne of the Kingdom of Hassan and Earl Ainos have arrived. The crowd stirs again in admiration. Princess Daphne is breathtakingly beautiful. The man beside her is the one the King of Hassan has chosen as her betrothed, Earl Ainos. The nobles all agree, a perfect match without a single flaw between them. The moment I hear the name Ainos, my eyes sharpen in an instant. This is the man Edmund mentioned in his letter, the finest swordmaster in the world. But something about him feels deeply off. His presence, it doesn't belong here. Schiller notices the shift in me and asks quietly if I know him. I deny it coldly. She pivots immediately, asking curiously about the young woman who traveled with me last time. I thought you might have taken an interest in her, Schiller says hastily, waving her hand to cover herself. I've already seen through her little game. A faint smile touches my lips. Look forward to it. She has a flair for dramatic entrances. Before the words have even settled, the herald announces in a soaring voice that the true star of tonight's banquet has arrived. King Milova of Drake makes his entrance, and standing beside him are 2 strikingly beautiful princesses. Schiller's jaw drops. She can't believe it. That woman is a princess of Drake. She turns to me with a look of protest. This is what you called a dramatic entrance? Princess Hwa is just about to take her seat when her eyes sweep the room and land on me standing side by side with Schiller. Anger ignites inside her instantly. She stares daggers at Schiller. It was supposed to be Gaia's first princess attending. Why is it Schiller? Just seeing her standing there is unbearable. The ceremony officially begins. Every noble in the hall bows deeply and calls out birthday wishes for His Majesty's 50th year. King Milova beams with joy, smiling warmly as he thanks all the nobles for traveling so far to be here. He hopes everyone will enjoy a relaxed and pleasant evening. Princess Hwa waits with excitement to see what gifts her father will receive. The gift presentation ceremony begins. Lord Duke steps forward first with a grand gift he has carefully prepared. King Milova raises an eyebrow slightly, looking at an ancient ring inside the box with a hint of puzzlement. Lord Duke declares with great pride that this ring will protect the king's life forever. It is a divine artifact of the rarest kind, capable of blocking all offensive magic below the 4th tier. The words, divine artifact, detonate across the room. No one imagined they would ever see such a treasure in the real world. Noticing my blank expression, Schiller leans in and explains quietly. A divine artifact is a rare object imbued with advanced magic. With no 9th tier mages left in the world, divine artifacts have become so rare they command astronomical prices at auction. One that can neutralize high tier magic is worth even more. King Milova is overjoyed. He accepts the gift solemnly and lavishes praise on Lord Duke. The nobles all agree. Nothing that follows could possibly surpass a divine artifact. And sure enough, the gifts that follow are all rare and precious. But set against the divine artifact, they are completely overshadowed, barely noticed. Finally, it comes to the last presenter. The herald calls out, Duke Blizzard, please step forward to present your gift. I step forward and bow at an unhurried pace, asking calmly if His Majesty has been in good health. Then I begin to speak, announcing the first gift I have prepared for His Majesty. A complete, hardened hide from an ice ogre, hunted and taken down by my own hand. The king blinks. That creature is the most ferocious beast in all the frozen north. King Milova accepts it with genuine delight, thinking he'll have it made into a winter coat. Lord Duck looks on with open disdain, mocking me out loud. A commoner with no taste offering something like this as a gift. It's embarrassing to watch. But what I've prepared is far from over. I bring out the second gift in front of everyone. King Milova's pupils shrink, his face floods with shock. Everyone is burning with curiosity about what could possibly be inside that box. At first, I simply say it's a monster egg. The crowd looks baffled. Why would anyone give that as a gift? Lord Duck leaps on it like he's caught me red-handed, shouting that I'm being outrageous, even accusing me of insulting the royal family. He calls the knight standing at the door in a frenzy, ordering them to drag me out. King Milova calls a halt to the chaos in a loud, firm voice. The hall finally falls quiet. He turns to me, his expression serious, and asks why I would give such a gift. I speak slowly, each word deliberate and clear. These are frost dragon eggs. The words dragon eggs explode through the room like a thunderclap. Both the king and Lord Duke are struck speechless. Frost dragons make their home in Calaron, 1.5 times the size of ordinary dragons, ferociously aggressive and nearly impossible to tame. Even finding their eggs is a feat in itself. Even a common dragon, once tamed, becomes the most devastating force on any battlefield. The once weak kingdom of Zeba rose to become an empire by sweeping through its neighbors, all because of its dragon riders. So, if the kingdom of Drake can tame frost dragons, its military power will surge beyond measure. King Milova is deeply moved, but he knows all too well that taming a dragon is far harder than simply obtaining an egg. I nod calmly. No one knows better than I do how difficult it is to raise a frost dragon to adulthood. I place my fingers to my lips and give a soft whistle. At that single call, my frost dragon Lilith comes. The entire hall erupts in screams of terror. The enormous creature before them sends everyone into a panic. No one can believe a living dragon just came when called. I tell them, this frost dragon was raised by my own hand, and I will share everything I know about taming them. The moment the dragon hatches, let it see the king's face. It will recognize His Majesty as its parent and remain loyal for life. I've also set aside 2 dragon eggs specifically for the princesses, so their own frost dragons can stand guard over the royal family. King Milova is both stunned and overjoyed. He never expected me to have thought of the princesses as well. The kingdom's rise to power, it feels within reach now. This is the most precious gift he has ever received. Hui finally understands. The surprise I mentioned through the communication stone. This was it all along. Lord Duke is stunned and furious, unable to figure out where I got dragon eggs, but he came prepared for this too. He steps forward immediately, claiming he has something urgent to report to His Majesty, and moves to bring me down in front of everyone. He brings up the fact that I deployed troops against Ross without authorization just 2 days ago. He asks whether the king was informed. King Milova's expression darkens with fury. He demands to know why Calaron suddenly attacked Tot City. Lord Duck fans the flames. He launched a territory war without filing any report whatsoever. It's sheer arrogance, a blatant disregard for royal authority. I urge His Majesty to punish this baron immediately for overstepping his bounds. The king's expression turns grave. If this is true, it is indeed a serious matter. Hui's heart clenches. If this keeps going, Duke Blizzard's reputation will be destroyed completely. Lord Duke is quietly delighted, waiting to watch me be condemned and punished before the entire court. But I don't flinch. I step forward and speak first. Is slave trading legal in the kingdom of Drake? King Milova answers without hesitation. The kingdom has strictly prohibited slave trading for years. I produce the evidence directly. A ledger filled with documented proof of every crime Ross committed. No one saw this coming. I was holding evidence this damning all along. I state it plainly and firmly. Ross seized my people and sold them for profit. My own people, taken and sold. As their lord, how could I not act? Lord Duke breaks into a cold sweat. He never imagined Ross would do something like this behind his back. Hui speaks up immediately to support me. A lord may act against a law-breaking noble without notifying the king. Then she turns to her father with a playful, innocent look and asks if that law is correct. King Milova immediately declares that Duke Blizzard had no choice and will not be held responsible. He then issues a royal decree in front of everyone. Tot City is to be incorporated into Caleron's territory. The nobles nod in agreement all around. Not a single voice of protest. Duke Carton seizes the moment and suggests that since Duke Blizzard's territory has expanded, a formal reward is in order. King Milova nods in realization. He beckons me forward at once and bestows a formal commendation upon me. Lord Duke stares at me, his gaze ice cold, hatred barely contained. He swears to himself, whatever it takes, he will bring me down. Then he turns and storms out. Someone in a corner of the room clenches their jaw, expression unreadable. I step out onto the balcony to clear my head, but a quiet, inexplicable melancholy settles over me. Nobles swarm around me, eager to curry favor. I can't even find a moment to speak with Hui, but at least I've been walking the path I set out for myself, step by step. Just a little further, and I'll be able to stand by her side, openly and without shame. Just then, footsteps sound behind me. I spin around. Who's there? I look, and the man standing before me is Earl Ainos of the Kingdom of Hassan. Ainos stares at me and speaks my real name, one word at a time. Seol Mude, I finally found you. A jolt runs through me. He's speaking in the language of the Central Plains. He closes the door and tells me, I am the enemy of his master and his entire sect. He spent years searching, traveling everywhere, just to find me. He finishes speaking and slowly draws his sword. Killing intent wraps around me like ice. A familiar scent drifts through the air, and my heart drops. Plum blossoms. Could he be the personal disciple that Zheng Feng, the sect leader, always spoke of before his death? The one called the most gifted rising talent the Central Plains had ever seen. Li Zhenqing. Li Zhenqing's face is expressionless and cold. Without a word, he drives his sword straight at me. I react fast, drawing the swift spirit sword and blocking the thrust head-on. His assault is vicious and every strike aimed to kill, but none of them find their mark. Li Zhenqing swings a wide horizontal slash, and the force sends me skidding back hard. His other hand gathers the plum blossom power, and he drives a palm strike at me with overwhelming force without mercy. My back slams into the railing. I barely manage to keep from falling. Li Zhenqing presses on without letting up. Another slash comes slicing at me. I twist out of the way in a split second, and inwardly, I'm shaken by just how strong he truly is. The legend of the Central Plains' greatest rising talent. It's all true. Hatred surges in Li Zhenqing's eyes. He takes my words as arrogance. He grits his teeth. He spent 3 full years searching for me, driven by nothing but the need for revenge. He painstakingly engineered a way onto the same ship as me, then spent the entire voyage watching for his moment to take my life. But a sudden storm of violent winds and blinding light threw everything into chaos, and when he came to, he was stranded here. For 3 years, not a single moment passed without the hatred. Every day and every night, consumed by the need to make me pay. I sense it sharply. The air around us has changed. It's thick with killing intent. Li Zhenqing tightens his grip on the sword, resolved to take my head with his own hands and avenge the Mount Hwa sect. My heart sinks. This strike, it's on a completely different level from everything before. Even I may not walk away from it unscathed. In that split second between life and death, the door bursts open. Li Zhenqing and I both freeze. We turn at the same moment toward the doorway. Schiller sees me and lights up. I've been looking everywhere for you. What's going on in here? I force myself to stay calm and lie smoothly. Just 2 people from the same homeland running into each other. A bit of small talk, nothing more. Li Zhenqing's gaze sharpens. He recognizes Schiller instantly. The second princess of the Kingdom of Gaia. Watching us talk like old friends, he hadn't expected Schiller to be this close to Seol Mude. Killing someone in front of a foreign princess would cause a scene and unnecessary complications. He has no choice but to swallow his fury for now, take his leave with a composed expression, and walk away. At that very moment, a cold voice cuts into my mind through mind transmission. I understand immediately. Li Zhenqing is speaking to me through mind transmission. Just as I took everything from him, he will destroy everything I hold dear. My wealth, the people close to me, everything I care about, none of it will be spared. And the first target is the one who looks at me with such warmth in her eyes. The Princess of Drake. Rage explodes inside me. I scream in my mind, "Don't you touch Hui! She has nothing to do with what's between us. She is innocent." Li Zhenqing's cold laugh echoes back. "That all depends on what I do next." I'm shaking with fury. "Just you wait, Li Zhenqing." Schiller notices something is off and asks curiously what we were just talking about. My mind is on Hui, consumed with worry. I need to get to her now, but Schiller steps forward and grabs my sleeve. I stop. My voice comes out cold. "Is there something you need to say?" Schiller's face flushes slightly. She struggles to find the words. Too proud to admit what she really means, she says she came all this way to find me herself, and I'm just walking out without a word. She mutters that I should learn some manners and stop being so thoughtless. My patience is gone. I ask her bluntly, "Does a princess really have nothing better to do? Noble guests from across the world are here to celebrate the king's birthday. As Gaia's princess, she should be representing her kingdom and greeting them, not standing here bothering me. Schiller is completely taken aback. She can't believe I actually find her annoying. Every man she's ever encountered has fallen over himself trying to win her attention, and I'm looking at her like she's a nuisance. She forces herself to stay composed, her voice catching as she tells me not to read too much into it. But before she even finishes, tears are already brimming in her eyes. I see it, and realize I was too harsh. I apologize quietly. I was out of line, but I truly have something urgent. I have no choice but to leave again, and thank her for coming. Schiller watches through the glass as I dance with Aoi inside. A bittersweet ache fills her chest. She can't help but think, what if she had been the one to meet him first? She hates herself for feeling this way. She slaps herself hard to snap out of it. Now is not the time for this. She has to pull herself together, keep living and stay alive, away from her sister's blade. When she returns to the palace, every step must be calculated. Her life depends on it. She glances into the distance and catches sight of Princess Daphne meeting privately with a man. The man looks strangely familiar. He looks like Jerome, one of Duke Blizzard's retainers. What could two people with absolutely no connection to each other possibly be doing here together? Meanwhile, Li Zhenqing returns, only to find in a panic that the princess has disappeared again. His men report nervously that she said she was going out for some air, but no one can find her anywhere. Li Zhenqing seethes with irritation. This princess never fails to cause him grief. He gives the order with a cold expression. Search every corner of the castle. Report back the moment she's found. At this very moment, Princess Daphne sits alone on a bench in the garden, quiet and melancholy. Her brother's command keeps echoing in her mind. Go to the kingdom of Drake with Ainos. If he hadn't forced her with an absolute order, she would never have set foot here in her life. She can't help but sigh. All she wants is to leave. When two voices suddenly speak at the same time, the unexpected sound puts Daphne instantly on guard. She spins around sharply. Who's there? Jerome apologizes in a hurry. He had no idea anyone would be here at this hour. The moment their eyes meet, Daphne's cheeks flush without warning, her heartbeat stumbling out of rhythm. She steadies herself and tells him there's no need to apologize. She was just startled, but inwardly she can't help noticing how handsome he is. Jerome bows quickly and introduces himself. Jerome, retainer to Duke Blizzard. Daphne replies softly, I'm Daphne Riarde. Jerome is just about to say what a beautiful name that is, when he freezes in the next instant, realizing something is very wrong. Standing before him is none other than the legendary beauty of the continent, Princess Daphne of the Kingdom of Hassan. Jerome panics and drops to his knees, mortified that he failed to recognize her. Daphne waves it off with a gentle smile. She's never cared for formalities. Jerome takes that as his cue to leave, but something stops him. Behind her eyes lies a sorrow that refuses to fade. After a long hesitation, he musters the courage to ask if he might stay a little longer. He explains he's waiting for his lord to arrive at the party and can't leave on his own. If she doesn't mind, he'll stay quietly off to the side. The innocent Daphne flushes crimson. She drops her gaze and murmurs a shy agreement for him to stay. And just like that, Jerome starts venting. His lord causes trouble every single day, and Jerome is always the one left cleaning up the mess. Every moment spent at his lord's side makes him want to run and never look back. Daphne murmurs softly, It sounds like you have quite a few complaints about your lord. Jerome snaps back to reality, embarrassed that he'd been so caught up in his own grievances. But then curiosity gets the better of him. Why would someone as privileged as a princess want to run away? Daphne's expression dims instantly. Her brother is forcing her into a political marriage. She refuses to accept a life where she's nothing but a piece to be moved around on the board of national interest. Jerome's eyes fill with sympathy. He doesn't know what to say. Daphne mistakes his silence for discomfort and quickly apologizes. She only let it slip because talking to him felt so natural. Jerome gently reassures her. He's simply thinking of how he can help. Whatever she needs, he'll wager every ounce of his magic to see her free. The warmth of his words washes over her all at once. Daphne is startled to find her heart racing out of control. Her cheeks burn. She turns away, unable to meet his eyes, and quietly thanks him. Then a cold voice cuts through the air from behind. Your Highness! Daphne's heart seizes. The last person she wanted to see. Ainos. Li Zhenqing strides over, his voice tight with barely contained anger, saying he's been looking for her. His sharp gaze cuts to Jerome. He demands to know who this stranger is. Jerome's pulse spikes. He recognizes this man, Ainos, the supreme sword saint spoken of in legend. He keeps it simple, calling himself a passing mage, and excuses himself with a polite bow rather than picking a fight. Daphne watches him go, an indescribable hollowness rising in her chest. Li Zhenqing has been watching every moment of it. Jealousy and fury rage through him. He deliberately brings something up. Does she know what's been decided? Once this mission is over, the king will be hosting a grand engagement ceremony for her. Every word drips with dominance and possessiveness, as if commanding her to accept it. Daphne erupts. Her brother decided all of this without a single word to her. Without another word, she turns and walks away alone. Jerome watches from a distance, and now it all makes sense. The man she's being forced to marry, it's Ainos. Then Daphne suddenly turns back. She mouths something to him without making a sound. 3 days from now, Let's meet again. Jerome stands frozen, completely at a loss for what she means. At the banquet, Hwa sits with her head low, utterly drained. She spent the whole time fielding conversations with noble ladies, and it has completely worn her out. Then a hand reaches toward her. I softly offer her a dance. Without a moment's hesitation, Hwa gently places her hand in mine. The music swells and the two of us draw close on the dance floor. King Milova watches from across the room, wondering if the two of them look just a little too close. Carton, standing nearby, respectfully agrees. The princess and the duke do seem unusually close. But the king lets out a quiet murmur. He hasn't seen his daughter smile like that in a very long time. His expression grows serious. He asks Carton to be honest. Has Hwa fallen for Duke Blizzard? Carton hesitates. Duke Blizzard has risen fast, but surely there's nothing between them. In his view, a commoner who rose to power overnight could never be worthy of the princess. No matter how powerful he becomes, the chains of status are not so easily broken in the eyes of the nobility. The tangled web of noble politics is not something an outsider can simply walk into and understand. The king murmurs to himself, as I feared. He only hopes his daughter isn't chasing something she can never have, the kind of hope that only leads to heartbreak. The royal birthday banquet comes to an end. I make my way back to the guild hall alone. The moment I arrive, I call out quietly, Edmund, how have things been? Edmund lights up the instant he sees me. Magic swordsman. He laughs with delight, saying thanks to me, his fleet has become the most powerful merchant force in the kingdom. Every day has been a joy. He waves me inside with warm enthusiasm. He marvels at how winning the territory war has turned everything upside down in such a short time. Almost too much to take in. I have no time for pleasantries. I cut straight to the point. I need his help with something important. I need a lavish mansion prepared immediately. It must be grander and more magnificent than anything Lord Duck could boast of. Edmund agrees on the spot and promises to have everything arranged as quickly as possible. He assumes the long-awaited plan for revenge is finally in motion, that it's time to settle the score with Lord Duck. He believes wholeheartedly that following me will bring Lord Duck's downfall, and he pledges every coin he has to make it happen. Then he pauses, puzzled. Where are your retainers? I don't see any of them. I've given them other duties. Jerome in particular has been assigned a very special task. I'd quietly instructed Jerome to do one thing, find the truth behind the massacre of Miller's family, no matter what it takes. Jerome naturally can't help but gripe that I always dump the difficult work on him. Unhappy as he is, he disguises himself and settles quietly inside the guild hall, waiting for any lead to surface. All the while, his mind keeps drifting to Princess Daphrin. What is she up to? Why did she ask to meet in 3 days? Then Rain, the intelligence guild leader, appears behind him. Rain says he'd half expected Jerome to be dead by now. Good to see he's still breathing. Jerome fires right back. Someone this good-looking dying young would just be a waste. Rain bursts out laughing. Near-death experience and his prince syndrome is completely intact. He skips the small talk. What do you need? Jerome says nothing. He drops a heavy pouch of gold coins onto the table. Rain eyes the sum. Whoever they're investigating must be someone of serious significance. He presses, just who exactly is the target? Jerome answers with a single name, calm and flat. Miller Kramer. The color drains from Rain's face. No wonder the payment was so enormous. This is a death sentence. Every person who has ever dug into House Kramer has ended up dead under mysterious circumstances. Ryan declares he heard nothing today and wants absolutely no part of this. Jerome slams his hand on the table. Find the truth, and he'll pay double. Rain wrestles with himself. 10 years have passed. Maybe the danger has faded by now. He grits his teeth and takes the job. Jerome sits in silence, turning it over in his mind. What secret is buried in the Kramer massacre? One dark enough to terrify even the head of the intelligence guild. Whatever it is, the one pulling the strings must be truly terrifying. When Jerome returns to the guild hall, he reports his findings immediately. House Kramer was once a distinguished noble family, a count's lineage, and Miller is the second son of that house. At their peak, the Kramers were among the most powerful noble families in the land. The moment Edmund hears the name Kramer, he goes pale with shock. Jerome continues. 10 years ago, every member of House Kramer was poisoned and killed. Only the young Miller was lucky enough to survive. I pressed Jerome immediately. Was the culprit ever identified? Jerome nods. The one who carried it out was Baron Gideon. But before the words are even finished, Edmund cuts in. Baron Gideon wasn't the real culprit. Baron Gideon was nothing but a puppet. Someone else was pulling the strings. The one who truly ordered the massacre is someone else entirely. The night deepens. Miller quietly slips a sharp blade beneath the bandages wrapped around his arm. Tonight, he will kill Baron Gideon with his own hands. He will avenge every member of his family. But just as he's about to slip away, a group of unexpected visitors arrives. Miller stares in bewilderment, cautiously asking why his lord has come unannounced. Edmund looks at Miller with a complicated expression. Young master, I met you once when you were a child. I can't believe how much you've grown. I'm Edmund, formerly of the Lore Merchant Guild. Count Kramer was one of our greatest benefactors. He's here to tell Miller the truth. Baron Gideon was indeed the one who carried out the poisoning, but the one who gave the order was Lord Duck. Miller looks like he's been struck by lightning. He can't make sense of it. What could Lord Duck possibly have gained? Edmund lets out a heavy sigh. The Akasha Merchant Guild, the most powerful merchant guild in the Kingdom of Drake, is secretly controlled by Lord Duke himself to expand the Akasha Merchant Guild and seize a stranglehold on the kingdom's commerce. Lord Duke orchestrated everything, eliminating both the thriving Lore Merchant Guild and the formidable House Kramer. Miller crumbles the moment those words land. He can't believe he has been working for the very man who destroyed his family. The blow is too much to bear. All he can do is laugh, hollow and bitter. Then he exhales slowly and rises to his feet. Alarmed, I quickly ask where he thinks he's going. Miller lifts his head. To kill Lord Duke, I tell him plainly. In his current state, he has no chance against Lord Duke. The man is a master swordsman, but revenge has consumed him. He snarls that it doesn't matter. Even if it kills him, he's going. This isn't courage. It's suicide. His emotions explode. Mana surges wildly around him. He demands to know if I'm going to stop him. Yes. I don't budge an inch. Frost chi gathers in my hands in an instant. Jerome and Edmund go pale. They shout desperately, trying to stop us both. I hold Miller's gaze and tell him calmly, if he truly means to go, he'll have to go through me first. A flash of resolve crosses Miller's eyes. He won't back down either. The moment the words leave his mouth, he charges. His sword erupts into a storm of razor-sharp sword energy that tears toward me. But I'm faster. I vanish from his sight and reappear behind him in an instant. He spins instantly and slashes at my vitals. The technique is raw but fierce. He's clearly been pushing himself to the absolute limit every day. I let out a quiet sigh, and without hesitation I raise my hand and release a burst of frost chi. It strikes Miller squarely. His body locks up. Then he doubles over in a violent fit of coughing. I tell him calmly, I've struck his pressure points. He likely won't be able to move for half a day. What happens next, I didn't expect. Miller forces his body upright and struggles to sit, and then he breaks free of the pressure point strike. I stare at him in disbelief. I never taught him how to strike or release pressure points. How did he do it? Miller answers weakly. When I struck his pressure points, I demonstrated the method myself, right in front of him. The shock hits me even harder. He watched it happen once, just once, and replicated both the strike and the release perfectly. Miller tries to push himself to his feet and continue, but his body has nothing left. He collapses, unconscious. I turn to Edmund and tell him to carry Miller back to his room and tend to him. I also tell him, the moment Miller wakes up, bring him to me immediately. Edmund looks worried, assuming I mean to punish him. I soften my tone. Starting tomorrow, I'll be teaching Miller pressure point techniques myself. And inwardly I can't help but feel quietly satisfied. My instincts were right. Miller is exactly the kind of talent I thought he was. He's a rough gem, extraordinary raw talent, completely unpolished. With the right guidance he could become the finest assassin this world has ever seen. But that road is a long one. Before I can think further, the communication stone in my pocket blazes with light. My chest tightens. I pull it out immediately. What's happened? From the other end comes Hwa's voice, faint, trembling. She's barely holding back tears. It's so cold here. Panic floods through me. I demand to know where she is, her exact location, right now. No response. I don't wait another second. I turn and run. Hwa, hold on. I'm coming. I run with everything I have, mind racing. Where is she? The air outside isn't cold at all, but she said she was freezing. If she feels that cold, she has to be somewhere the temperature drops lowest. I push my chi outward, scanning for the coldest point in the area. I find it almost immediately. There's only one place nearby cold enough. I sprint toward it and throw open the heavy door. There she is. The relief hits me, and so does the frustration. I demand to know how she ended up locked inside. Hwa explains with a pout. She only came to check on the frost dragon eggs I gave her, and the door locked behind her without warning. I can't keep the reproach out of my voice. I told her repeatedly. This place has a magic seal. It's dangerously cold. How could she be so careless? Hwa murmurs an apology, at least grateful the communication stone let her reach me in time. I let out a long breath, and all the anger drains out of me. I can't hold back anymore. I step forward and pull her into my arms. My hands won't stop trembling. I'm terrified of losing her again. Hwa, moved by it all, wraps her arms around me in return. Then a faint sound breaks the silence. We both look up at the same moment. One of the eggs shatters open. A baby frost dragon wobbles to its feet. I tell Hwa to wipe away the membrane still clinging to the hatchling's body. If she does, the newborn frost dragon will recognize her as its mother. Hwa wipes gently, and the moment her fingertips touch its soft skin, she gasps in wonder. Does this count as completing the bond? I smile and tell her to try saying hello. Hwa leans in and speaks to the tiny creature in the sweetest voice. The newborn frost dragon lets out a soft, pudgy little cry. Hwa melts completely. She scoops it up and nuzzles it with joyful abandon. Watching it all, I quietly note that the hatchling is female. Like with poultry, you can determine the sex of a frost dragon by its anatomy. She hatched a little early, but her health is excellent. Nothing to worry about. Hwa nods with shining eyes and promises to raise her to be beautiful, strong, and healthy. The two of us fall into a happy debate over what to name her. Neither of us notices the dark figure watching silently from a rooftop across the way. After the royal birthday banquet concludes, my formal ceremony of enfouffment begins. Before the eyes of all, the lands of Tot City are officially brought under my domain. The ceremony has barely concluded when King Milova announces the convening of the Grand Assembly. The Grand Assembly is a council open to all nobles of the kingdom. Its primary purpose is to to elect members of the small council and deliberate on matters of importance to the nobility. King Milova announces the first item on the agenda, the selection of small council members. Those wishing to nominate candidates may raise their hands. The words are barely spoken before hands shoot up across the hall. One voice calls out the name of Lord Duck. Another nominates Carton. The hall erupts with competing voices. I watch it all quietly. Lord Duke's loyalists and the king's men reveal themselves with every nomination. I'm new to this world. No alliances, no roots. I assumed no one would think to mention my name. Then a low voice resonates through the hall. I nominate Duke Blizzard. Every head turns. The one who spoke is Lord Duke himself. He praises me openly, saying I have more than proven my worth, and am fully deserving of a seat on the small council. His gaze sweeps the room, and he asks mildly if anyone objects. The nobles murmur their agreement one by one. No one dares oppose him. I stare at Lord Duck's knowing smile, and I can't read his intentions at all. King Milova looks equally bewildered. These are the same men who exiled me to the frozen northern territory and left me to die. Lord Duck, smiling coldly, declares the nomination passed unanimously. He offers his quiet congratulations on my entry into the heart of royal power, but what he's really thinking is this: the small council meets every week. Once you're in, you can't stray far from the capital. His eyes are everywhere in this court. With me locked here, I'll never have the chance to build my strength in the shadows. I've walked straight into his web, and the harder I struggle, the tighter it will hold. Back in her chambers, Hui paces in frustration. She gave me the signal to come to her room after the meeting. Did he really not notice? Impossible. I appear silently on her windowsill. Hui startles, then breaks into a delighted smile. I ask gently what she wanted to tell me. She gets straight to it. She can't understand why Lord Duck would nominate me for the small council. I don't know the full reason either, and I'm curious what she thinks. She has no answer either. But Lord Duck never does anything without a reason. After all, he once sent assassins to kill her father in broad daylight, and he was the one who exiled me to the frozen north. Whatever he's doing now, there's a scheme behind it. There's a silver lining, though. As a council member, the two of us can meet more openly. But Lord Duck is not someone who plays by the rules. I speak her name softly to calm her. I promise that I will handle this, just as I've handled everything before. She doesn't need to worry. All she needs to do is trust me. Those words finally put her at ease. A smile breaks through. Then urgent knocking erupts at the door. Hui panics and tells me to hide. She turns around in a rush, and I'm already gone. 10 days earlier, Jerome had kept his promise and gone to meet Dafrin. But what she said left him stunned. She wanted to escape the palace. Her eyes were full of hope as she asked him to take her somewhere no one would recognize her. Jerome was torn. As a retainer of the Caleron Lord, being caught helping a princess flee could spark a war between two kingdoms. Hearing the refusal beneath his careful words, Dafrin's eyes reddened. Were all his promises just lies? Hadn't he sworn he'd wager every ounce of his magic to keep her safe? This was the first time in her life she had ever wanted to leave the walls of the kingdom of Hassan's castle. The first time she had spoken to anyone from the outside world. After her father's death, her brother had kept her locked away. The only time she ever left was for state ceremonies. When the political union with Inos was forced on her, she had tried, truly tried, to open her heart to him, but he was nothing more than her brother's obedient hound. He never cared for her feelings. He looked at her exactly the way her brother did, like an object to be used. Only Jerome had ever looked at her differently, like she was a real person, truly alive. Jerome's chest churned. He couldn't find any words. Dafrin quietly apologized. She was being naive. She shouldn't have taken his words to heart. She rose to leave, and as she turned away, a single tear slipped down her cheek. Something wrenched inside Jerome. He shot to his feet and called out before he could stop himself. He wavered. Reason and softness tore at him from both sides, and still the words wouldn't come. Dafrin had had enough. She spun around and stepped toward him. Everything she'd been holding back came bursting out. Is he going to help her or not? She wanted one answer. Just one. No more dancing around it. Jerome blinked, startled, and then stammered out a yes. The Dafrin who had been furious 1 second ago was suddenly all sweetness and grace. Jerome couldn't help but wonder if she had a split personality. He arranged to meet her in 10 days. 3rd floor of the Blue Room, the East Side Tavern, by sundown. Not a word of this to anyone. As far as the world was concerned, they had never met, never spoken. Dafrin nodded and promised she would be there. Jerome went back in a complete panic. He hesitated outside my door, then knocked. He told me he wanted to inspect Tot City and asked for my approval. I raised an eyebrow. By yourself? He nodded quickly, insisting he wanted to check on the local management personally. Reasonable enough. I took him at his word and agreed. He could go ahead, and I'd follow later. Jerome rushed to stop me, saying the journey on horseback would take 5 days and I couldn't miss the council meetings. I pointed out with some amusement that by Frost Dragon it's an easy day's trip. Jerome went stiff, forced an awkward laugh, and tried to cover his panic. I noticed something was off and told him plainly. He hadn't been himself for days. He denied it immediately, too flustered to even look me in the eye. In the end, I chose to trust him. I gave him full authority over Tot City. Jerome nearly sagged with relief, thanked me quickly, and was gone. 9 days passed in a blink. Tomorrow is the day. Jerome is sick with anxiety. The old him would never have agreed to any of this, but every time he thinks of her tears, his resolve crumbles. The next day, Hui still can't work out what Lord Duke is planning. Nominating Duke Blizzard for the small council out of nowhere, there has to be something hidden behind that move, but he promised to handle it. She does her best to set her worry aside. She pushes open the doors to the council chamber. A knight calls out in a booming voice, "His Majesty the King and Princess Hui." King Milova speaks in a low, measured tone. The small council session is now in session. The first item on the agenda belongs to Lord Duke. He greets the king and the assembled council members with a pleasant smile. Then he speaks, and the words hit like a thunderclap. His proposal concerns the marriage of Princess Hui. King Milova's expression freezes. He was clearly not prepared for this. Every nerve in my body goes taut. My eyes lock onto Lord Duke. Hui's chest tightens in an instant. Her fingertips go cold. The entire chamber falls into dead silence. Hui shoots to her feet, stunned and furious. Her own marriage, brought up here without a word to her? Lord Duck offers a polished apology, then presses forward without mercy. The princess is 20 years old. To have no husband, no betrothed. At her age, it's practically unheard of. Out of his deep concern for the continuation of the royal line, he urges His Majesty to arrange the princess's marriage without further delay. A duke across the table erupts in anger, denouncing Lord Duck for his audacity and disrespect toward the king. Lord Duck's allies immediately come to his defense. He speaks only out of loyalty to the kingdom's future. King Milova slams the gavel down hard and commands the chamber to silence. Hui's rage overtakes her. She grabs the gavel, she brings it down with everything she has, and the handle snaps clean off. That finally silences the room. Hui takes a breath, hands the broken piece back to the king, and quietly apologizes for the outburst. Then she drops her voice and asks why he said nothing, not a single word. The king simply tells her coldly to sit down. Hui can't believe it. Her father is siding with Lord Duck when he promised she could choose for herself. The king's composure finally breaks. He snaps at her. She was born into the royal family, born to carry its burden. She has no right to be selfish. The color drains from Hui's face. The hurt in her eyes hardens into something cold. The king calls after her. The session is still ongoing. She is not permitted to leave. Hui says nothing. Her steps don't slow. She walks out. I stand and take it all in. Back in her chambers, Hui can't hold it in any longer. She collapses into her maid's arms, sobbing. Duke Blizzard is the only one in her heart. She can't bear the thought of marrying anyone else. Nothing is decided yet, her maid urges. Please don't give up so easily. Hui's voice breaks. This whole move by Lord Duck, it's to force her into a marriage with Justin. There are only 3 princesses in the royal family, and by law none of them can inherit the throne. So he's using her marriage to consolidate his own power. In her desperation, she wants to stand before her father and declare it plainly. Duke Blizzard is the only one she will ever marry. Her maid grabs her, pleading with her to think of the royal dignity. Hui erupts. Royal dignity. How much longer is she supposed to swallow everything in the name of royal dignity? Her maid holds her tightly, understanding every bit of her pain, but she can't let her act on impulse. Hui can't think past the storm inside her. Her world has already been turned upside down. How is she supposed to care about the kingdom right now? A furious shout from outside the door stops them both cold. What do you think you're doing? I demand to know why this unknown maid is pressed against the door listening, and who sent her. The maid stammers and insists she was only cleaning outside the door. Hui steps out. I tell her I came because I was worried about her, and walked in on this maid with her ear to the door. Hui turns to the maid and demands an explanation. The maid holds firm. She was cleaning. Nothing more. But Hui has never seen this woman before. The maid shifts her story. She was just assigned to the palace and got lost because she doesn't know the layout yet. Hui's voice turns to ice. Let this happen again, and there will be consequences. The maid thanks her frantically and swears she will never come near the princess's chambers again. Once she's gone, Hui quietly instructs her maid. Follow her, discreetly. I'm not so sure. Letting her go just like that. Won't that come back to bite us? Hui sighs. Without proof, there's nothing to be done. What matters is finding whoever sent her, and she has only one suspect in mind. Lord Duck. Most of the nobles and servants in the palace are in his pocket. Even those who resent it can only swallow their anger in silence. I'm taken aback. I knew the royal family's grip on power had weakened. I hadn't realized it had come to this. Hui looks at me, helpless. What do we do? At this rate, I'm going to end up married to Justin. I step forward and reassure her calmly. I'll go speak to the king myself. Hope flickers in her eyes. You have a plan? I give a quiet nod. I do. Day 10 arrives. Li Zhenqing bellows the order. Sweep the entire area. Leave nothing unsearched. Daphrin huddles in the shadows, breathing hard, her heart hammering with fear. Jerome sits alone in the tavern, his expression tense. He stares at the empty doorway and begins to think she isn't coming. Then the wooden door swings open, and Daphrin steps inside. She looks at him with an apologetic smile. I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long. Jerome looks up sharply, just about to speak, when the sound of heavy boots and voices rises from the floor below. Soldiers shout. They're searching the whole building. The target must not get away. Daphne looks at Jerome in a panic. They'll be caught for certain. Jerome stays calm. He gestures for her to come close. She watches him move to block the door and shakes her head. Barricading the door won't stop them. Jerome had already counted on that. Outside, the shouting draws closer. Fists slam against the door. Open up. Daphne trembles. They're here. Jerome tells her to hold on to him and don't let go. He begins murmuring an ancient incantation under his breath. The scroll before him pulses with a strange otherworldly shimmer. With a quiet taut city then, two figures vanish from the room without a trace. Deep within the palace, King Milova sits alone. In the privacy of his own thoughts, he curses Lord Duck with everything he has. That insufferably arrogant man. A king, reduced to a puppet dancing on a duke's strings. If the late king could see this, he would have every right to call his son useless and weak. Guilt gnaws at him. He should never have lashed out at Hui. He is a useless, cowardly father. Just then, a servant steps in quietly. Duke Blizzard requests an audience, Your Majesty. The king composes himself and signals for me to be brought in. I bow and greet him with proper respect, asking how he has fared. The king's voice is cold and edged with bitter irony. His situation is anything but well, and surely I know that already. I press forward. Then does Your Majesty intend to hand over the princess and the kingdom without a fight? To watch my words, saving his life once doesn't give me free rein. I stop dancing around it. I have a plan. I've barely begun before the king catches my meaning. He raises his hand and waves away every knight in the room. Once the chamber is empty, he leans forward. Tell me. I place a document in his hands. If the king issues this as an official decree, it will be enough to block the marriage to Justin. The king sees it immediately. This is a delay, not a solution. It buys time, nothing more. I don't deny it. That's exactly what it is, a carefully laid trap. A true hunter doesn't chase the prey. He sets the snare and waits for it to walk in on its own. With everything set in motion, I return to Tot City. Jerome is already there, bowing respectfully to welcome me back. But my gaze shifts to the unfamiliar young woman standing behind him, and I go still. Is that Princess Daphne? Jerome stops Daphne and takes the initiative to explain everything. He gives a brief rundown of the whole situation, and I respond with a quiet, to show I understand. Daphne looks visibly anxious as she promises she won't cause me any trouble. I calmly remind Jerome that she isn't just a princess of Hassan, she's also a diplomatic envoy. Jerome immediately apologizes and promises he won't drag me into anything. He only asks that I show some mercy and let the princess stay for now. Seeing that I say nothing, the two of them sink into dejection, convinced they've been turned down flat. But after a brief pause, I give a quiet, as good as a yes. They both freeze on the spot. I say it casually. She can stay as long as she likes. Daphne is stunned and overjoyed, and quickly promises to repay me properly. I'm not so desperate that I'd take payment from a runaway princess. If even Jerome, stiff and reserved as he always is, was willing to take this risk, there's no way I could just coldly turn them away. So I promise to keep their relationship under wraps and tell them not to worry. Jerome immediately snaps at me, saying I'm being far too presumptuous toward the princess. I let out a soft laugh and raise an eyebrow. Why are you getting upset? Go on. Be honest about how you really feel. At that, the two of them exchange a glance, and the air between them suddenly shifts into something unspoken. I turn to Daphne and let her know I need to speak with Jerome privately. Daphne thanks me softly and excuses herself without another word. The moment she's gone, Jerome apologizes. He made that promise on impulse without thinking. He says he's ready to take full responsibility and escort Daphne safely back to the kingdom of Hassan himself. I simply ask, why? Jerome answers urgently. Does he really need to spell it out? Her presence here could trigger a war. I cut him off before he can go further. That's not who I'm asking. I'm asking Jerome the man. Jerome's expression shifts into something complicated. He doesn't know what to say. Just then, the communication stone suddenly lights up. I ask who it is. Edmund's voice comes through, urgent and rattled. He sounds frantic. This is bad. Princess Daphne has apparently been kidnapped. Earl Ainos has gone to the king requesting help, and the whole kingdom is in complete chaos. I respond flatly, noted. If that's all, I'm cutting off. Edmund quickly stops me. There's one more thing. The king has officially issued a royal decree regarding Princess Hui's marriage. Still calm, I tell him I already know. Edmund is visibly taken aback. How could I possibly know? Because I wrote it myself and presented it to the king in person. I say nothing more and cut the connection. Jerome's expression turns anxious. He presses me. What's going on? A faint smile tugs at my lips. It's nothing more than a trap I've set. All I have to do now is wait for the prey to take the bait. Duke, you've had your way for far too long, pulling the strings of this kingdom however you pleased. But from this moment on, I will not let you win again. Damn it! Princess Hui is to marry a young noble who earns distinction within a year. Duke is shaking with rage. There was no prior agreement. What gives anyone the right to announce such an absurd marriage decree without his say? His advisor tries to calm him. Even a cornered rat will lash out at a cat. Justin has no achievements to his name and no right to be on the consort candidate list. But he doesn't need to meet the criteria at all. If every eligible candidate is eliminated, Justin can take the position without question. Right now, only two people qualify under the marriage decree. John Carton, eldest son of Earl Carton, and the recently risen cousin Duke Blizzard. He'll send an assassin to deal with John Carton. Duck immediately asks, and what about Duke Blizzard? The man says he's received a piece of intelligence. If they play this card right, they can bring both Duke Blizzard and Princess Hwa crashing down without breaking a sweat. Another week passes quickly. Carton announces in a low voice that the session is now in order. The first item on the agenda is the position and title to be assigned to the newly seated Duke Blizzard, and the floor is open for suggestions. Lord Duke is the first to speak. Duke Blizzard's martial prowess and strength are widely acknowledged, and as it happens, the position of Vice Captain of the Phoenix Knights is currently vacant. He proposes that Duke Blizzard be appointed to that role directly. The moment the words land, both the king and Carton go pale. The Phoenix Knights are led by Earl Torio and stand as the kingdom's most elite fighting force. They accept any race, any background, only strength matters. It's a gathering of the kingdom's true elite. I know full well that Duke would never hand me a favorable post, so this has to be a trap, but I smile and thank him anyway, saying I'll carry out my duties to the best of my ability. Duke offers a hollow compliment, so modest he's sure I'll perform brilliantly. Then, as if just remembering, he turns to address the king. There's a strange rumor circulating through the city lately. Late at night, 1 week ago on a Monday, someone claims to have seen Princess Hwa and Duke Blizzard emerging from a barn together. The revelation hits the king like a thunderbolt. My stomach drops. I understand immediately what Duke is trying to pull. He must be referring to the night I pulled Hwa out of that freezing storage room. The king's eyes go cold, his voice carrying the full weight of his authority. Is this rumor true? I don't evade it. I admit it plainly. Yes, it happened. The room erupts. A man and a woman alone together in a barn in the dead of night. It's a disgrace to the royal family. The king's tone grows more dangerous by the second, demanding an explanation from me immediately. I explain exactly what happened. The princess had gone to the barn at night to check on the frost dragon egg and ended up trapped. I simply got her out. Duke sneers. And who can actually prove that story? The witness clearly saw the two of you in a close embrace. Are you going to deny that as well? I hold my anger in check and tell Duck to stop smearing the princess's name. Nothing happened between us that night. Duck pretends to take my word for it, but says that one person's account alone is nowhere near enough to convince anyone here. If this rumor reaches other kingdoms, the princess's honor and the royal family's reputation will be destroyed beyond recovery. The king's fury boils over. He slams his fist on the table. The impact silences the entire room. Not a soul dares make a sound. The king announces in a frigid tone that the small council session is adjourned for today. Duke calls out to stop me, his voice dripping with undisguised menace. As long as you remain within these castle walls, don't ever think you can escape my reach. That same night, Hwa slowly opens her eyes, gazing around in a daze. This place, it feels like somewhere she's visited again and again in her dreams. She sees that familiar silhouette pass by her once more. This time she forces herself to call out, "Who are you?" Then harsh voices flood in around her, accusing her of abandoning her parents to side with outsiders, ungrateful and traitorous. Outsiders? Alliance Lord? These unfamiliar words leave Hwa completely lost. Then the accusations shift. They're calling her a princess who sneaks around in the dark of night, her conduct shameful and disgraceful. Hwa shakes her head frantically. No, it wasn't like that between her and Duke Blizzard. It wasn't like that at all. A cold hand suddenly seizes her. Let go! Let go of me, she screams and thrashes desperately, but more and more hands grab hold of her. No, this isn't right. None of this is real. She jolts awake with a scream. But even now that she's awake, her body won't stop trembling. The next day, I host a grand banquet, a celebration of victory. The venue is the magnificent new estate that Edmund has carefully prepared for me. The moment the guests step inside, they're struck speechless by the breathtaking splendor before them. Guests murmur amongst themselves. After all, this was once the estate of House Kramer. Some assume it must be a royal gift. Even Lord Duke himself couldn't afford a manor like this. So how could a newly titled noble possibly own it? As the attendant announces my arrival in a loud, clear voice, I make my entrance and thank all the guests for coming from near and far. This banquet is to celebrate my seat on the small council. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the Lord of Caleron, Vice Captain of the Phoenix Knights, and the owner of the very estate you're standing in. The hall erupts. Every pair of eyes turns to me at once. Listening to the gasps ripple through the crowd, I feel a quiet satisfaction. Edmund's ability to get things done never disappoints. Whether they're aligned with the king or with the noble faction, one look at this estate changes everything. For the noble faction looking to side with Duke, a show of wealth is the most effective deterrent. They only respect strength, money, and power. Rowan approaches with pleasantries, offering hollow thanks for the generous invitation. Then he pivots and asks why Her Highness the Princess isn't in attendance. I respond plainly, she's unwell, but the intent behind his words is anything but innocent. Did something happen to make her feel unwell? The moment those words hit my ears, my gaze goes ice cold. He presses further, bringing up the rumor in front of everyone. He asks loudly whether those vulgar rumors are actually true. Rage surges through me instantly. I crush the wine glass in my hand, as though it were that loudmouthed skull. Baron Vincent steps in quickly, putting himself between us, demanding Rowan take back every foul word. To insult the princess is to desecrate the entire royal house of Drake. If word of this reaches the king, no simple punishment will settle it. Rowan scoffs with contempt and tells him to mind his own domain. He keeps taunting even as he's dragged away. Baron Vincent quickly tries to calm me, urging me not to waste my energy on someone like that. I thank him quietly. If he hadn't stepped in, I might have actually killed someone. To my surprise, Baron Vincent takes it as a joke. I shift the conversation without missing a beat and ask if something has been happening in his domain lately. Baron Vincent's expression immediately clouds over. His domain has been under relentless monster attacks for months. Even with reinforced walls and tightened defenses, the disasters keep coming with no end in sight. I ask immediately, has he requested any support? Baron Vincent shakes his head with a bitter look. The kingdom's soldiers can't hold against the monsters either, and he doesn't want to burden anyone. At that, I've already made up my mind about my first mission as vice captain of the Phoenix Knights. I'll head to Baron Vincent's domain and wipe out the monsters. Baron Vincent is completely stunned. He never imagined anyone would put themselves out for a small domain that offers nothing in return. If the Phoenix Knights lend their strength, his domain might finally have a chance. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he bows to me again and again. Just then, the communication stone at my chest begins to flash rapidly. I excuse myself immediately, agree on a date with Baron Vincent for the expedition, and take my leave. In a quiet corner away from the crowd, I ask in a low voice what's happened. Jerome reports that they've successfully captured the assassin. The first target was John Carton, eldest son of House Carton. He's being held in the basement of the annex. I pick up an oil lamp and head down to the basement alone. Then I rip the mask off the assassin's face in one swift motion. Miller has already used the pressure point technique I taught him to paralyze the assassin completely. The suicide poison capsule hidden in his molar has also been carefully removed. Every risk has been neutralized. I slowly extend my hand and press it gently against the top of the assassin's head. The immense power within me surges out through my palm and floods into him. A moment later, I slowly withdraw my hand. In the next instant, the assassin drops to his knees and addresses me respectfully as master. Miller stares in disbelief. What just happened? I order the assassin to give his name, reveal who sent him, and disclose everything he knows. The assassin, holds nothing back. He states plainly that he was acting under Lord Duke's orders to assassinate Carton. Hearing that, I let out a quiet sigh. Exactly as I expected. I order him to return and report mission accomplished, and to feed me every move Duck makes from here on out. Miller assumes it's some kind of mind control magic. I explain calmly, it's a demon cult's secret art, the soul-seizing art, demon soul technique. The moment he hears that, Miller immediately begs me to teach it to him. I refuse outright. The demon soul technique is an indoctrination method the demon cult uses to bring in new followers. It can only be forced into activation by someone with overwhelmingly superior power. If your strength isn't there, it won't work. The technique will backfire on you instead. So teaching him would be pointless. I dismiss Hiss with a wave of my hand. Lord Duck has gone to great lengths trying to wipe me out completely. Well then, the game has turned. Now it's my move. Hiss returns to Lord Duke's estate before long. Duke's expression is cold and unreadable as he asks whether the assignment has been carried out. Hiss reports that John Carton has been dealt with completely. Duke gives a slight nod and dismisses him without a word. Then he calls Hiss back. Something feels off. Hiss responds immediately. After a careful inspection, he reports that the mind control is still holding. Duke frowns inwardly. Was he overthinking it? If things are going smoothly, then the next target to eliminate is Duke Blizzard. Overnight, news of John Carton's death spreads through every corner of the capital. The cause of death is listed as a riding accident. Common enough, but the timing is far too suspicious. The rumors snowball, spreading like wildfire through the people. But no one knows the truth. John isn't dead. Every bit of this is my doing. The capital is already in complete chaos. After all, the only other consort candidate besides me has died. The same terrifying suspicion surfaces in every mind at once. Everyone is pointing to Lord Duck as the one behind it. Miller is full of confusion and can't help but ask. The evidence points straight at him. Why not just expose it and have Duke arrested right now? I explain plainly. This isn't about making a quick arrest. It's about eliminating the threat at the root. Duke is far too calculating. Without airtight preparation, there's no way to catch him. And there's another reason behind all of this, one that matters even more. This way, the rumors tormenting Hwa will disappear. To put out a fire, you cover it with a bigger one. Now the one standing at the center of public suspicion, the one everyone is watching, is Duke. Miller is floored. He'd only been thinking about taking Duke down. He never anticipated I'd thought this far ahead. I suddenly stop walking. We're here. The modest dwelling before us belongs to Rogan, the former vice captain of the Phoenix Knights. Miller recalls that it was Rogan's injury that opened the position I now hold. Some things are just a strange twist of fate. Miller can't hide his surprise. How can the vice captain of the kingdom's strongest knights live somewhere this bare? Because the circumstances behind his removal were anything but honorable. Insubordination, a grave offense. After his leg injury, he apparently attacked a superior. The more Miller looks around, the more unsettled he feels. Something about this place is deeply off. His eyes drop to the floor. It's immaculate, as though no one has ever set foot here at all. I counter flatly. And you don't leave footprints either, do you? Miller pushes back immediately. But he's here right now, and even with a bad leg, there would still be some trace. The realization hits me. Rogan is no ordinary person. Can he actually fly? Neither of us has noticed. There's an arrow trained on us from behind. A sharp whoosh tears through the air. I react instantly, twisting aside just barely enough to dodge the sudden attack. When I get a clear look at it, I'm stunned. It's a feather arrow. A voice thick with disgust cuts through the air. I was wondering what that stench was. Rogan steps out into view. To think a wretched human would dare come to his door. Miller panics, and I clearly didn't know either. Neither of us had any idea that Rogan was a beastkin. Rogan fixes his gaze on my chest. His eyes lock onto the Phoenix Knights emblem. That is the vice captain's insignia, and he erupts in fury, convinced I've been sent here by the captain to kill him. Miller's heart sinks. Rogan has completely misread the situation. They need to clear this up immediately. But instead of explaining, I deliberately say something to provoke him further. Miller nearly loses his nerve, utterly baffled by what I'm doing. I'm running a test, testing whether he has what it takes to serve under me. Completely enraged, Rogan launches himself upward, draws his bow and aims a golden arrow straight at me. He swears he'll kill this human with his own hands. I tell Miller quietly to stand back, but before I can even finish, he's already scrambled far out of the way. I tighten my grip on the swift spirit sword, fighting spirit rising inside me. Good. A real fight. My plan is to cut through all his feathers first, then close in with full force. Miller calls out urgently to warn me. Beastkin feathers are incredibly resilient. No blade can cut through them. The sword will just be deflected. Sure enough, in the very next moment, the swift spirit sword is knocked clean back. The force behind it is far beyond what I expected, and I'm caught off guard. I immediately drop into a low crouch and narrowly dodge the follow-up. Seeing me evade, Rogan fires 2 feather arrows at once. I curse inwardly. The deflection force from those feathers is unreal. I have no choice but to force through it. I knock one arrow aside with the hilt of my sword. The deflected arrow strikes the second one and sends it flying off course, straight toward Miller, who's completely unprepared. Miller lurches aside in a panic, barely getting out of the way. Shaken and furious, he complains that I could have at least warned him before redirecting an arrow his way. Rogan gives no breathing room. 2 more arrows are already on their way, but a second later I look up and freeze. There's only 1 arrow in the air. The other has vanished. Alarm shoots through me. Where did the other one go? Then it reappears, exploding in from the side, aimed right for my eye. In a split second I throw out my hand and grab it bare. My palm is torn open immediately, blood pouring out. I spin and hurl the arrow in my hand straight at the other incoming one. Feathers that can't even be cut by my swift spirit sword, and tactics like these on top of it. This is no easy fight. Combined with moves this unpredictable, the opponent has real ability. Combat effectiveness, barely passing. Rogan erupts the instant he hears that. He can't believe I just assessed him like that. I sheath my sword and tell him the evaluation ends there. I launch myself upward, leaping high into the air. Now it's my turn to give you a proper lesson. Rogan's composure cracks. He spins around instinctively and looks up in alarm, and a fist catches him completely off guard, driving home just how wide the gap between us truly is. I follow up with the void step, a movement art that lets me move freely through the air. Rogan's bow has been knocked out of his hands. He has no choice but to take what comes. Damn you! Rogan snarls, catching my punch with his bare claws by sheer force of will. The impact sends agonizing pain crashing through him, his face contorting under the force. He can't hold it. His entire body slams into the ground. I look at my own hand and sense something strange coming from it. A dark, unfamiliar energy. I ask Rogan directly, where did that old injury on his leg actually come from? Rogan grits his teeth and refuses to answer. He roars and swings at me. I step aside. I gather frost chi into my palm and channel it straight into his injured leg. Rogan howls in pain, cursing me for fighting dirty, going after his damaged leg. Utterly shameless. I don't let up. I drive another punch straight into the same spot. The intense pain makes Rogan's entire body shake. I press my palm against his leg and probe the meridians inside. Rogan thrashes wildly from the pain. He screams at me to stop. In his agony, he tries to kick me off. I block it without effort. A faint smile pulls at the corner of my mouth. I reach down and unwrap the bandage on his leg. Rogan stares in disbelief. His leg, it's healed. Countless healers couldn't fix it, and he can't help but demand, how did I do that? I answer calmly, the healers couldn't fix it because it was never an injury. It was a curse. A dark, malicious curse had been coiled around his leg all this time. I simply used my own chi to dispel it. Rogan stares at me, completely shaken. He asks in a daze, who exactly am I? I hold his gaze and say something that cuts straight to his core. I am the one who can make even you, someone who despises humans, choose to follow me willingly. Rogan places an enormous roasted wild boar in front of me with his own hands. He tells me in a low voice to eat well. This is his tribe's most honored traditional dish for guests. Miller's eyes light up the moment he sees it. His stomach has been practically touching his spine. He reaches for it without hesitation and gets his hand slapped away hard by Rogan. This feast is for his benefactor alone. I step in gently. Miller is one of us. Rogan is clearly unhappy about it, but he does as I say. He tosses Miller a scrawny little rat with obvious contempt, telling him to eat up and get out of his sight. Miller is furious on the spot. Why is there such an enormous difference in treatment? Rogan says coldly. Humans deserve nothing more than this. If he doesn't like it, he can go hunt his own food. I ignore their petty bickering entirely and help myself to the food in front of me. Then I look up at Rogan and ask him how his left leg was really injured. I've heard he's always blamed Captain Torio of the Phoenix Knights for it. But what really happened? Rogan draws a slow breath and decides to tell me everything. On the very day he was promoted to vice captain, Torio called a private meeting with him alone. Torio was unusually warm and welcoming that day, completely unlike his normally cold and distant self. But Torio was a hardcore supremacist who had always treated Rogan as a thorn in his side, so he wasn't there to congratulate him. What Torio said next left Rogan completely stunned. In his rage, Rogan had hurled the wine glass in his hand and shattered it. He told Torio he would never accept such a despicable proposal. It was nothing short of absurd. But Torio's voice turned icy, warning him to choose carefully. Once he walked out that door, there was no going back. Rogan's fury was at its peak. He fired back. Torio should worry about himself first. But before he could finish, a strange dark magic slammed into his left leg. The pain flooded his entire body in an instant. When he came to, he was lying in a treatment room. At first he tried to tell himself it was just a nightmare, but cold reality told him otherwise. Every bit of it had actually happened. Consumed by rage, Rogan lost all reason. He launched a surprise attack on Torio. After hearing it all, I feel a pang of something. So that's what happened back then. Rogan gives me a respectful nod, thanking me from the bottom of his heart. Not only did I heal his leg, I told him the truth, that it was a curse all along. Now all that's left is to find whoever was truly responsible, and this will finally be over. I tell him there's no need to investigate further. I already know who did it. That assassin, Hiss. When I used the soul-seizing art on Hiss, I sensed a strange energy coming off of him. And just now, on Rogan's cursed leg, I felt the exact same energy. Miller goes pale instantly, blurting out, "Does this have something to do with Lord Duke?" The name Duke hits Rogan like a stone. He freezes. He demands urgently, "Was that name just Duke?" I'm caught off guard by just how intense his reaction is. Rogan's voice goes tight. The proposal he rejected back then, it involved Lord Duke. My expression darkens. I press him immediately. What exactly was Torio's proposal? Rogan forces out two words through gritted teeth. Treason. They plan to overthrow the legitimate royal authority and install Lord Duck as the head of a new dynasty. Hearing that, a cold smile slowly curves at the corner of my lips. Duck has finally walked right into the trap himself. Meanwhile, inside Lord Duke's lavish estate, the atmosphere is heavy with unspoken tension. Torio, whom Duke has been waiting for, finally arrives. Duke asks about his injury, his tone flat and indifferent. Torio bows his head slightly, replying with deference that things are recovering gradually. He carefully asks Duke what this sudden summons is about. Duke speaks without emotion, bringing up Duke Blizzard's entry into the Phoenix Knights. He draws a dagger and drives it into a point on the map. He tells Torio to find a way to lure Duke Blizzard to that location. If he succeeds, Torio will be elevated to the rank of Duke. Torio is overwhelmed, stunned and elated. He prostrates himself and bows deeply, swearing he will not fail. A flash of cold cruelty crosses Duke's eyes. His trap is already set. That location will soon become Duke Blizzard's grave. Before heading to the Phoenix Knights, I look for Baron Vincent to check on how things have been handled. I was held up by urgent matters and arrived later than planned, so I had dispatched a Phoenix Knights unit to assist 1 week earlier. Baron Vincent thanks me immediately. It was thanks to the Knights arriving in time that they managed to hold on, but I noticed something off in his expression right away. I ask him why he looks so troubled. Baron Vincent admits he now owes the Phoenix Knights an enormous debt of gratitude, but there's something he feels he has to bring to my attention. That's how I find out. Inside the Phoenix Knights, a brutal pattern of violence has been playing out, targeting members of other races. I rush to the scene. What I see stops me cold. An owlkin beaten and covered in blood, and two beastkin bound and forced to their knees, the floor stained red around them. Rage surges through me instantly. I charge forward. I grab one of the ringleaders, a red-haired knight, and let the frost chi in my palm explode outward. He's blasted off his feet. Blood pours from his nose as he hits the ground. I move forward immediately, and catch the battered owlkin before he can fall. The scene is so shocking that everyone around goes completely silent, staring in disbelief. They can't believe that in a single instant I've taken down Captain Butler and pulled the Alkin to safety. The beastkin have been beaten countless times over, blood everywhere. The sight of those bloodied hands cuts right through me. Just then Torio walks out, his face dark, demanding to know what I think I'm doing. I turn and look at him with cold eyes. What these knights have been doing is disgusting. From the bottom of my heart, I keep my fury in check and say through clenched teeth that they've gone too far. Torio scoffs. You're feeling sorry for them? He yanks off his eye patch and snarls. It was Beastkin who did this to him. What they're getting is not even close to being enough. Then he orders me to hand over that Beastkin immediately for him to deal with. If I refuse, he'll have me punished for insubordination. I don't flinch. I scoop up the Alkin and turn to leave. Go ahead and try. Unless he wants me to expose everything he and Lord Duck have been hiding. Torio goes white in an instant, cold sweat breaking out. Has the treason been exposed? He demands, voice cracking. How I could possibly know. I don't answer. I simply warn him to stop the persecution of Beastkin immediately. Otherwise, he'll find himself a dead man on the execution grounds before long. After stepping outside, the Alkin can't help but ask why I stepped in to help them. I answer quietly, because I know what it feels like to be looked down on. Back in my homeland, I was treated as an outsider, dismissed, looked down upon, never accepted for who I was. And because of that prejudice, I couldn't stay with the person I loved. That's why I can't just stand by and watch. What I don't understand is, they're clearly strong enough. Why take the beating without fighting back? With beastkin strength, overpowering those knights would be nothing. The owlkin nods. Yes, they absolutely have the strength to fight back, but once they choose to raise their hands, there's no going back. And if that happens, any chance of dialogue, any hope of finding common ground, disappears forever. Those words hit me hard. Hwa Yeon once said something exactly like that to me. They're the same, both choosing the hardest path there is. I reach out and encourage him. I'll stand behind them all the way, as they protect the dream they're holding onto. The owlkin smiles back right away. It won't take long. I agree softly, and I mean it. I genuinely hope to see their wish come true. I want to see it with my own eyes, the beautiful future that Hwa Yeon always dreamed of. By the following evening, I head out with the Phoenix Knights on a mission deep in the forest. Butler is seething with resentment, furious that I humiliated him in front of his men. He had gone to the captain in a rage, demanding that something be done about me. Torio spreads open a map. There's a way to get rid of me without getting their hands dirty. The instructions are already marked. All they have to do is lure me to a specific location. What awaits there is none of their concern. All they have to do is get me there. That's enough. As they near the hidden trap, Butler grows increasingly tense. He has heard that Duke Blizzard is one of the finest swordsmen alive. Can whatever lies ahead truly pose a threat to someone like that? A strange, unsettling presence washes over me, and my heart drops. This feeling, I've encountered it somewhere before. Torio raises his hand, signaling everyone to halt. He warns that a large pack of ferocious creatures is lurking just ahead. The moment the words leave his mouth, his eyes shift to me. They say the vice captain of the Phoenix Knights is a supreme swordsman. Why not show us what you've got? I turn him down without a second thought. Torio tenses up, afraid I've sensed something. The creatures are gathered in exactly the spot Lord Duck had described. Butler sneers. A so-called supreme swordsman, too scared to fight a few measly creatures. He draws his curved blade with a cocky grin, boasting that he'll show me how it's really done. With a battle cry, he swings his blade and cuts down several charging creatures in an instant. He laughs with pride, showing off his speed. Just as he mocks me for being scared out of my wits, one of the creatures lunges and bites down hard on his throat. Butler immediately spits up blood. But what makes everyone's skin crawl is that the severed parts of the creatures are slowly growing back. The way these things look, could they be undead? Torio goes pale, his face twisted with horror. He never expected this. The knights scream in agony, desperately crying for help. All that earlier arrogance, gone. No matter how many times they strike, the creatures won't stay down. Every attack is useless. They just keep coming back. Torio is still frozen in place when several creatures bare their fangs and lunge straight at him. I don't hesitate. I draw the swift spirit sword, a flash of steel, and every creature charging at Torio is cut down in an instant. I say coldly, Lord Duck is truly ruthless. To get rid of one person, he's willing to sacrifice the entire Night Order. The truth finally hits Torio. He was discarded by Lord Duck all along. He can't believe it. He's no different from the men lying dead on the ground. Panic swallows him whole, and he turns and runs without looking back. I watch him flee, fury rising in my chest. What a bastard. A commander who abandons every last one of his men to save himself. I still haven't gotten a single piece of useful intel about Lord Duck out of him. I have to go after him now, but just then, a massive creature crashes to the ground. Its presence is overwhelming. This one is a serious threat. I've barely turned around when the giant creature spreads its claws and hurls itself at me. Just then, a vial of green liquid is splashed across Butler's face. He snaps back to consciousness immediately. He recognizes it. A healing potion. He starts thanking his rescuer, assuming it must be Captain Torio. But when he looks up, the one who saved him is the owlkin he used to torment. The owlkin coughs softly and tells him that Torio has already fled on his own. He takes Butler's hand and pulls him to his feet, saying he needs his strength right now. Butler is stunned and confused, struggling to process what's happening. The owlkin is clearly badly wounded himself, yet he used his only potion on Butler. Thinking back on everything he had done to him, Butler is overwhelmed with guilt and confusion. He can't stop himself from asking, why? Why would he save him? The owlkin's expression is calm, as if none of it ever weighed on him at all. We fight side by side. We're comrades, isn't that reason enough? Butler tightens his grip on his weapon. The guilt in his chest hardens into resolve. He steels himself and charges at the creatures. This time, he will fight to survive no matter what, and he will spend the rest of his life making up for every wrong he has done. The owlkin watches the change come over him, a quiet smile of relief on his face. Meanwhile, my own battle has reached a fever pitch. The swift spirit sword connects with the creature's arm, but it hurls me away with brute force. I drive the blade into the ground just in time to stop myself from being thrown back. This creature is relentless. No matter what I throw at it, it just regenerates. Dragging this out will only drain my energy for nothing. My gaze sharpens. A decision forms in an instant. Time to change tactics. I flash forward and slice off its right claw. Just as the wound begins to regenerate, I unleash my frost power. I meant to freeze it in place place, but it springs away and dodges, yet its regenerating claw brushes against the frost and locks up solid in an instant. I stare at the frozen claw, puzzled. I only meant to slow it down, but the frozen part has completely lost the ability to regenerate. A spark of excitement. I kick it hard into the massive block of ice I've formed. Then I walk forward, unhurried, my voice carrying just a hint of satisfaction. So ice is the key to putting you down for good. At that moment, Baron Vincent is pushing his knights hard, racing to the scene. An urgent report had reached him in the dead of night. Word that Duke Blizzard's territory was under a terrifying assault by undead creatures. A blinding light flares in the distance, and Vincent's chest tightens. Over there, that's Duke Blizzard's direction, the man who protected their lands. He prays desperately for his safety. He arrives at the battlefield with his reinforcements shortly after. The scene before him leaves him frozen. The ground is blanketed in jagged ice shards. Dead silence. I'm standing there, holding the creature leader's severed head. I tell him calmly, he arrived a little too late. The battle was over just before he got here. Vincent trembles uncontrollably, overwhelmed with emotion. But this trembling isn't from fear of the creatures, nor from the bone-chilling cold that surrounds them. It's the sheer, staggering awe of witnessing this with his own eyes. This battle becomes a turning point for Duke Blizzard. A new title is born. The one who can freeze even death itself. Within the Kingdom of Drake there are 3 elite knight orders. Ranked first in strength is the Phoenix Knights, ranked second is the formidable Titan Knights, and ranked third is the swift and ruthless Storm Knights. The moment Torio stumbles back to his quarters, he summons the 2 Knight Order captains. He looks at Gordon and Roberts as they arrive. He swears to himself. He refuses to be cast aside like a useless pawn. Whatever it takes, he will prove his worth. He clears his throat and puts on a polite face, apologizing for disturbing them so late at night. Gordon is quick to respond. He's ready to serve at a moment's notice. Roberts is cold and impatient. Get to the point. Torio notices Roberts' indifference. This man is a loyal supporter of the king, through and through. But starting today, he must be brought over to Lord Duck's side, just like Rogan was. Torio has leverage that can't be refused. He smiles and tells Roberts to relax, then personally uncorks a bottle of wine. Then he brings up what happened to John Carton. Torio sighs, lamenting how unfortunate Carton's situation is. He lost his beloved son simply for siding with the king. Had he chosen to follow Lord Duck, none of that tragedy would have happened. Gordon frantically whispers that he's being too direct. Torio tells him to relax. He knows what he's doing. Roberts is furious. He demands to know what kind of game Torio is playing. Is this a threat? Swear loyalty to Lord Duck or die. Torio denies it. He never said anything of the sort. Any other time, he would have brushed it off with a smooth lie. But this time, he hurls the wine from his glass and drops the act entirely. Yes, this is a threat. Chaos is coming. A rebellion is about to begin. The royal family will be overthrown, and Lord Duke will take the throne. Lord Duke has already promised titles to both him and Gordon once it's done, so he urges Roberts to choose wisely and not end up on the wrong side. The king has had no real power for a long time now. Everyone knows that. He waits anxiously for Roberts' answer. Roberts carries enormous influence among the king's supporters, enough to sway the rest. When Roberts lowers his head, Torio thinks he's won. He smiles and praises Roberts for being smart, already planning what to say to Lord Duck on his behalf. The next second, Roberts slams his fist down and shatters the table. The king has no power? As long as he and the Titan Knight stand, the king stands. He yanks the door open and tells Torio to surrender before dawn. Do that, and he'll at least plead for leniency. Enough to spare his entire family. Torio curses under his breath. This has completely slipped out of his control. Then a soft, unsettling laugh comes from behind him. A strange magic circle glows to life on the floor. Killsong steps out from within it, mocking Torio for looking so pathetic. She could tell right away he was trying to win favor by recruiting Roberts, and yet again, he's failed. Torio immediately drops to his knees, apologizing frantically. Only then does everyone realize. This is Killsong, Lord Duck's most trusted black mage. Torio is still trembling and begging, pleading for one more chance to prove himself. He swears he'll get it done. Killsong smiles and extends her hand. How convenient. She still has use for people like them. Dark magic engulfs the entire room in an instant. A blinding purple light bleeds through the walls. When it's over, Killsong reports back to Lord Duck. Torio has been dealt with. She then asks what should be done about Baron Roberts. Lord Duck's voice is cold and flat. Deal with him too. He is deeply irritated. His plans have been thrown into complete disarray. Ever since Duke Blizzard appeared, every arrangement has unraveled. At this point, Duke Blizzard is a harder obstacle than the king himself. Then again, no one in the world is a match for him except Duke Blizzard. And right now, Duke Blizzard is not in the capital. This may be the perfect moment to take everything. That night, a victory banquet is held to celebrate the defeat of the undead creatures. Butler can't stop his tears from falling. He keeps saying he's sorry. He kneels and apologizes for all the times he mistreated and looked down on the Owlkin simply for being a beastkin. He knows words alone mean nothing. He swears to spend the rest of his life making it right. I watch the scene with quiet wonder. I never thought that future I once spoke of would come this quickly. But the Owlkin shakes his head and says quietly, they're still far from where they need to be. Everything must be taken one step at a time. What they're after isn't a brief moment of peace. It's a lifetime of understanding. A lifetime of understanding. Those words bring Hwa Yeon rushing back to my mind. Only now, in this moment, do I truly understand everything she did. Why she always insisted on dialogue and negotiation, refusing to resort to force. She never wanted to buy peace with power. Peace that would only last a moment. She wanted 100 years together. With me. Guilt floods through me, and I speak to her silently. Hwa Yeon, forgive me. It took me until now to truly understand what was in your heart. Just then, the communication stone behind me blazes to life. I ask immediately, Hyatt, what's happened? Hyatt's voice is frantic. My lord, Lord Duke's rebellion has officially begun. 2 hours ago, in the office of the Titan Knights captain, Roberts had ordered his men to prepare to arrest the traitors Torio and Gordon by morning. Then, in the silence, footsteps. Roberts spins around, demanding to know who's there. He freezes. It's Gordon and Torio. But how? His sword is behind him. He tries to stall, to buy himself a moment. But in the next second, the two of them transform into creatures, and hurl themselves at him with savage ferocity. Roberts breaks into a cold sweat. At the edge of death, he throws himself through the window without hesitation. He hits the ground, still shaking, cursing. What in the world are those things? Before he can recover, he opens his eyes to find himself completely surrounded by 5 or 6 of the creatures. His own knights. All of them, turned into undead creatures. Killsong speaks with amusement. So you're still alive. Even in death, Torio couldn't finish you off. Robert stares at her, burning with rage. You're the one behind all of this? Killsong grins without a shred of shame. Yes, every bit of it. Roberts, consumed by rage, bends down and snatches his fallen sword from the ground. He roars and charges at her, but he never sees it coming. One of his own former knights attacks him from behind. A sharp, searing pain tears through his chest. He coughs up blood. Killsong asks, her voice like ice, Are you afraid to die? She raises her hand and casts her dark magic. She won't let him die so easily. The next second, the dark magic takes complete control of Roberts. A deafening explosion suddenly erupts in the distance. My heart plunges. I know in an instant. Ahui is in danger. I'm ready to move immediately, to head straight for the capital. But Hyatt stops me urgently. Lord Duke's rebel forces from across the land are converging on the capital. Once they all arrive, there will be no stopping Lord Duke. So Hyatt volunteers to hold the capital with the Blizzard Knights, while I break the rebel reinforcements one by one. I'm silent for a moment. Then I nod. I tell Hyatt to hold on no matter what until I arrive. Then I turn and address the Phoenix Knights. Every soldier, ready for battle immediately. I announce it to all of them. Lord Duke has launched his rebellion. We move out now and cut down his reinforcements, one group at a time. A sharp whistle cuts through the silence of the night. The great frost dragon answers the call, appearing silently behind me. My mind is set. End this fast and get to Ahui. Deep in the night, the communication stone beside Ahui's pillow flickers to life. She stirs awake, blinking her eyes open in a daze. Still half asleep, she asks softly, "What is it this late?" But the news I carry hits like a thunderclap, shattering the quiet of the night. Lord Duke has launched an open rebellion. The Titan Knights have been wiped out. They'll be coming soon. Ahui is wide awake in an instant, already running to find her father. I quickly tell her, the dragon riders are already on their way to the capital. Ahui's heart tightens. She asks urgently, "Will I be with them?" More than anything, I want to rush to her side and keep her safe. But Lord Duke's forces are closing in from every direction. I have to stop them first before I can head to the capital. Ahui goes still at those words. I tell her gently not to worry about me. Give me half a day. I'll wipe out all their reinforcements. On the other side, Lord Duke's reinforcements have been marching for a long time. The soldiers are exhausted. The moment one of them lets slip even the smallest complaint, he gets slapped hard. Clancy screams at them for being slow and worthless. All he cares about is getting there first and claiming the glory. He looks at the exhausted column of men and grips his whip, furious that he might miss his chance. He raises his hand again, ready to drive them forward. Then a voice cuts through, cold and sharp. Stop! Clancy spins around, and the moment he sees who it is, he breaks into a cold sweat. Of all people, Duke Blizzard, I tell him coldly. Surrender now. I'm short on time and fresh out of mercy. Clancy's stomach drops. If the dragon riders are with him, they're finished. But the area is completely silent. Not a single sound of dragon wings. A soldier rushes over with a report. Scouts have swept the area and found no sign of an ambush. Clancy bursts out laughing. I'm bluffing. He sneers that if anyone should be surrendering, it's me. Does Duke Blizzard really think he can take on 1,000 soldiers alone? I have no time to waste on this. I click my tongue, impatient. The next second I leap from the frost dragon's back and drop toward the ground. Clancy's eyes light up. He screams at his men to grab me now. This is a golden opportunity. Capture Duke Blizzard and bring him to Lord Duke. Instant glory. The instant I land, I unleash a torrent of frost power. A blinding surge of frostlight explodes outward. Clancy can't even open his eyes. When he finally manages to look again, everything before him has been frozen solid. Not just him and his soldiers. The entire landscape is encased in ice. I speak, cold and clear. Anyone who wants to surrender, drop your weapon and get on the ground. The words leave my mouth, and I draw the swift spirit sword, channeling it into one massive blade. I look at the terrified soldiers and remind them calmly, Anyone still standing will be cut down. Every last one. The soldiers are paralyzed with terror. They throw down their weapons and armor. They drop to their knees and beg for their lives. Only Clancy is stuck, frozen on his horse, the lower half of his body locked in ice, unable to move. Despair washes over him. How is he supposed to get on the ground like this? A razor-sharp arc of light slices through the air. His scream pierces the cold air. And Clancy, so arrogant just moments before, is cut to pieces in a single stroke. With that done, I climb back onto the Frost Dragon. I tell the surrendered soldiers, "The Phoenix Knights will be here soon. Don't move until they arrive." The soldiers answer in unison, too afraid to do anything else. I leave and reach out to Hyatt. Clancy's forces are finished. Hyatt directs me northeast. There's another force there, though he's a bit worried about me facing 1,000 soldiers alone. I grin. 1,000 soldiers? Not even worth worrying about. As I fly, I keep saying it to myself. Hey, wait for me. I'm coming. In the capital city of Balhan, the royal palace knights stand ready for battle. Carton stands at the top of the city walls, palms drenched in sweat. He stares into the distance, and the enemy finally comes into view. Lord Duke's undead knights. A dense tide of undead knights marching toward the palace, too many to count. Normally, they would stand no chance, but things are different now. Carton immediately orders all mage soldiers into position, thanks to Duke Blizzard's warning that undead creatures would strike the capital, and his detailed explanation of their weakness to ice element magic. The mage soldiers act the moment the order is given, and vast numbers of undead knights are frozen in an instant. Carton watches in amazement. It's actually working. They're holding back the undead with ice magic. It's real. Then the next second, a cracking sound, and every ice sculpture shatters all at once. The freed undead knights shriek and charge straight for Carton on the walls. Carton goes white. How is this possible? Is ice not their weakness after all? In the chaos, a massive undead giant slams into the palace gates. The heavy doors are blasted off their hinges. Waves of undead creatures pour through. The palace defense has completely collapsed. Killsong strolls into the palace with her undead knights, dripping with arrogance. The weakened, coughing Carton quickly catches her eye. Killsong's voice is laced with mockery. She recognizes him immediately. The king's most loyal dog. Carton is furious and baffled. He demands to know what she did. Why didn't the ice work? Killsong admits without hesitation. Duke Blizzard's method is correct, but it was never the ice itself that defeats the undead. It's the pure magical energy within it. Dark magic fears nothing more than pure magical power. Duke Blizzard's strength is lethal to these creatures by nature, but Duke Blizzard is not here right now. The outcome was decided before this battle even began. The words barely leave her mouth before dark magic sweeps through the area, and the buildings behind them erupt in flames. So that's why. Carton grinds his teeth in rage, but there's nothing he can do. As the undead creature raises its fist in front of him, he feels he has failed the king's trust. He fought with everything he had, and this is as far as he goes. He closes his eyes slowly, waiting for the undead giant's killing blow to land. At that very moment, a hand charged with frost power suddenly appears. A frost palm art strikes with a thunderous force. A massive pillar of ice launches the undead giant flying. Killsong spins around in shock, unable to believe that one of her undead creatures was taken down so effortlessly with a single blow. She whips around, refusing to believe Duke Blizzard could have made it back this fast. Then a clear, cool voice cuts through. "I'm not Duke Blizzard." The young woman bows to her and introduces herself. Savina, Duke Blizzard's first direct disciple. Killsong finds it absurd. Is this some kind of joke? But she quickly senses something is off. The purity of this girl's magical energy is almost on par with Duke Blizzard's. Then the ground behind Killsong erupts with razor-sharp ice spikes. Savina has already uncovered their weakness. Pure power is the natural counter to undead creatures, and her master has already put them through rigorous body tempering. So for the Blizzard Knights, these so-called undead creatures are nothing. One punch is all it takes. There's no need for her master to be here at all. The Blizzard Knights alone have more than enough strength to face Killsong head-on. Killsong is infuriated by Savina's arrogance. She blocked a few creatures by sheer luck, and now she's this bold? The words leave her mouth as fire magic swirls in her palm, and the sky above ignites with raging flames. She didn't reach this position on dark magic alone. The terrifying sixth circle magic, Hellfire, takes shape. Following the direction of her finger, a massive pillar of fire crashes down towards Savina. Killsong is dismissive, pure magic power or not. There's no way Savina can block this. But just as the flames are about to land, a figure steps in front of Savina and takes the full force of Killsong's Hellfire. Jerome turns and tells Savina to go. Handle the undead creatures without worry. This fight is the responsibility of Jerome, chief mage of the Blizzard Knights. Killsong drives her sixth circle magic forward again. It clashes against Jerome's magic. Wild waves of magical force sweep through the area. Carton can barely stay on his feet. He's stunned and horrified. Killsong is a sixth circle mage, an actual legend, In all of history across the continent, those who have reached the sixth circle number only 5. Jerome himself is among the finest mages alive, but against a sixth circle mage the gap is enormous. His odds don't look good. Jerome can't hold on any longer. His strength gives out, and he drops to one knee. Killsong gathers magic in her right hand, looking down at him with satisfaction. "Oh my, what a grand entrance you made. Look at you now. Chief Mage? How naive, thinking one magic tool was enough to take on a sixth circle mage." Jerome laughs bitterly to himself. One tool really wasn't enough. He knows that. But before she finishes speaking, he pulls out 5 magic tools at once and goes all in. Killsong's expression hardens immediately. Jerome activates the 5th circle enhancement magic, Thunderstrike. His magical power surges violently. He pushes all the tools to their limit at once, driving the attack to its absolute peak. This has to hurt her. It has to. But the next second, Killsong's clawed hand is already in front of his face. The sharp claws tear through him, leaving deep, vicious wounds across his body. Killsong laughs. That level of attack means nothing to her. Blood sprays across Jerome's face. The sight is harrowing. Carton cries out in horror. If this keeps up, Jerome won't survive. Killsong takes stock. Half her undead soldiers are already gone. She needs to finish this quickly and deal with these irritating young fighters. But in the split second Killsong turns away, Jerome somehow raises his hand and casts a spell. 4th circle magic lightning flash explodes outward, too fast for Killsong to react. Killsong is both startled and furious. She can't believe a man on the verge of death still managed to strike back. Her killing intent spikes. If he wants to die so badly, she'll give him exactly that. Violent magical energy gathers behind her, forming a massive twisting purple serpent. The 6th circle curse magic descends with devastating force. Killsong moves to end him completely. Jerome hastily throws up a defensive barrier, but the impact still shakes him to the core and leaves him in agony. Carton trembles with fear. The power of 6th circle magic is terrifying beyond words. He shouts desperately at Jerome to stop pushing himself. He's throwing his life away for nothing. But Jerome's mind is already fading. He's running out of time. He can barely tell what he's doing anymore. Some part of him knows just falling down would be so much easier. He's no match for Killsong. Then, in a daze, a familiar voice begins to echo through his mind. The voice tells him, this is who he is. Someone who can't say no, who quietly gives everything. Always complaining, yet always pushing through anyway. A true pushover to the end. Jerome stares blankly. Is this his life flashing before his eyes? He sees himself, back then, bitterly admitting that yes, he really is that weak and easy to push around. But the voice pushes back. If you were truly that easy to push around, why would anyone choose to stay by your side? The voice tells him to look clearly. Who is still here with him right now? Jerome opens his eyes through the haze. He sees Daphrin, the Lord, Princess Hwa, the Blizzard Knights. The voice speaks once more. Remember who you truly are. Only when you know your own heart, only when you know who you are, can you reach something greater. In a single instant, clarity washes over Jerome. Every cloud in his mind dissolves. The magical power inside him surges wildly, growing purer and more overwhelming by the second. Killsong stares in disbelief. What's happening in front of her is beyond anything she can comprehend. She refuses to believe that someone like Jerome could break through his limits. A brilliant green light erupts into the sky. Jerome has broken through to the 6th circle in the middle of battle. A towering green magical giant materializes and seizes the purple skeletal serpent in its grip. Carton stares upward, so stunned he can barely form words. He can't believe it. Everything happening before him feels like a dream. To break through to the 6th circle in the middle of a fight. He is now the 6th circle Grand Mage in the history of the continent. The two are now equal in power. When their forces clash, neither can gain the upper hand. But the situation still favors Killsong. Jerome's wounds are too severe for him to last. If this drags into a war of attrition, Jerome will fall. All Carton can do is pray for something, anything, to change the tide. A low growl suddenly explodes from behind Carton, and his whole body goes rigid. Jerome has already been pushed far past his limit. He suddenly coughs up a mouthful of blood. Killsong laughs wildly, mocking the sorry state Jerome is in. She's certain victory is hers, but the words are barely out of her mouth when a figure bursts onto the scene. Killsong turns back in confusion. She sees a small, round, fluffy shape, and finds it oddly adorable. The next second, the fluffy ball snaps back to its true form, and drives a fist hard into her lower back. Killsong is completely off guard. She's sent flying. Jerome stands frozen, unable to process what just happened. Then he sees who it is, and breaks into a stunned smile. Condor! He thanks him immediately, asking how he ended up here. Condor answers calmly. The Lord sent him specifically to help. The Lord had already foreseen that Jerome would push himself too far for the sake of the people, and end up covered in wounds. Jerome can't help but laugh. The tension finally drains from him completely. He can't hold himself up anymore. His body goes limp, and he goes down. He really can't imagine how far ahead the Lord can see. Inside the command center of the castle, Princess Hwa hurries to the king. Communications divination stone in hand, her face lit up with relief. She just received word. Even the black mage has been subdued. The king is deeply moved. When he first heard Duke Blizzard's plan, he had been full of doubt. After all, Lord Duck commands enormous power, enough to make anyone hesitate. But now Duke Blizzard has proven with action that he is more than capable of winning. The king makes his decision right then. When Duke Blizzard returns, he will be rewarded generously, and the reward will be whatever Duke Blizzard truly desires. Just as everyone is cheering, celebrating the great victory and defending the capital, a flash of dark magic, and Lord Duck bursts in with sword in hand, cutting down the guards at the door. The king stares in disbelief. They won. They held the city. How did Lord Duck get inside? Lord Duke's lips curl into a cold smile. He slowly produces a ring and holds it out before the king. That ring, the very one Lord Duke had gifted to the king at his royal birthday banquet. Hidden within the ring is a one-time use instant teleportation magic. It allows the user to teleport directly to wherever the ring is located. Lord Duck sighs with mock regret. The king carelessly tossed it into the treasury, so he had to make the inconvenient trip from the treasury all the way here. The king erupts in fury, cursing Lord Duck, and immediately ordering the guards to execute him on the spot. The remaining guard knights draw their swords and charge. Lord Duck is a master swordsman. Ordinary knights stand no chance against him. He laughs and activates the sword in his hand, but in the next second, countless vines begin to spread from the blade. The vines coil rapidly around his arm, then crawl across his entire body. Princess Hui sees it clearly, and fear floods her face. She cries out, warning the king. That could be the legendary demon sword and demon armor. Before the words are even out, the jet black demon armor has already consumed Lord Duke completely. Encased in the demon armor, Lord Duke's speed explodes. He cuts down several knights in an instant, then drives his sword straight into the king's chest. Hui cries out and rushes to catch her father as he falls. Lord Duke steps through the blood-soaked floor, closing in on Princess Hui one step at a time. His son had once pleaded with him to spare Hui's life. He has no intention of honoring that wish. More than following his son's words, he wants to see the agony on Duke Blizzard's face with his own eyes. He raises the demon sword, his face twisted with malice, ready to strike her down. With no way out, Hui holds her father close and braces for the end. At the very last moment, a massive shadow appears outside the window. The frost dragon crashes through the window and lands before them all. I speak softly to Hui, my voice steady and calm. Don't worry, Hui, I'm here.